everybody. Welcome to the Players Take episode 236. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Montreal Rice. Montreal,
Hey, what's
how are you
up?
this week?
I am actually okay. Had a pretty okay week, so
Oh, yeah?
yeah,
Pretty okay week?
pretty okay. Wasn't too fond of my when I went to the dentist. So yeah, that's what happened yesterday. I had to go
Yeah,
to
you
the
want to tell the
dentist.
people what
Yeah,
went down?
I went to the dentist yesterday. Nothing bad happened or anything. Um, I got my cleaning and got a oral exam or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, well, we can you can put in your fill-ins right now because I had like two fill-ins or something like that I need to put in." So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, cool. And I forgot the whole process of how fill-ins go. But yeah, they numb my gums and then they numb my jaw, and then they did their work or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
and I couldn't talk, like I was slurring, like half of my face was like numb. So
Yeah.
I couldn't feel anything on half of my side of my face, and I was like, they're like, oh, it should wear off in like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, and it was already like 5 o'clock when they did all this. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yikes, I'm not going to be able to do the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
It did end up wearing off around like 9 or 10 o'clock. But we already made our decision to kind of postpone it. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my jaw still kind of hurts, but I wasn't expecting that, and they gave me the price of it and everything, and I was like, oh, I can just get that shit done right now. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to do another trip to the
Oh, I
dentist. So I
get
just
you.
said,
I
yeah.
totally get you.
So I got it all done in like one go.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if I'm
and
out and about and I'm trying to do something or I'm trying to do multiple things, if I can get all those things done, I'll do it. I don't give a shit.
yeah, yeah. So I just paid for it full, and then I mean, of course, my insurance paid for a lot of it, but it was like
Mm-hmm.
$300 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna pay for it right now and just get it the fuck over with because I do not want to come back to the dentist until 6 months from now for my clean for my cleaning again. So yeah, I did that, and this was like the first time for me going to the dentist. Actually, since I moved to Texas, um, I y'all can judge me
Oh
for that.
fuck! Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
y'all can
Holy
judge me for
shit!
that. Because I haven't found a good dentist, and
Yeah.
I mean, I had a stable job, obviously, but like this was like my second stable job, technically my second or third stable job since I've been out here. And yeah, I just been moving around and trying to get settled down and everything. And I finally got settled down. So I finally like went to the doctor. And I did all of that shit like within the last 2 months. I went to the doctor, went to the dentist, and just got all my checkups and shit like that. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. I had the same problem with when I moved here too. I went a few years, probably several years, probably 4 or 5 without going to
Mhm.
the dentist. And yeah, it was ugly when I went back.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
told my dentist that, and she was like, "Wow, I'm surprised." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because your teeth look really good." I was like, "Yeah, I brush them like 3 times a day, which I do. I brush them in the morning, once when I get home, and then once when I go to sleep. So I
mm,
brush my teeth like 3 times a day."
yeah, I
And
usually do twice a day,
yeah,
but I do floss, mouthwash at night before bed.
yeah. And she was like, "Do you floss?" I was like, "I don't really floss. I use these like things that get in between your teeth, like these little brushes or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, you should definitely floss." And then I use mouthwash or whatever as well. So I mean,
Mm.
my teeth were 7 years and only had two cavities. I mean, I'm not to tote my own horn. I'm like, that's pretty fucking good, uh,
Oh my god. Yeah. No, I
uh,
mean that's pretty good. It's not too bad. I mean, I actually got away as bad as mine were. I remember I didn't have any cavities. It was just
oh,
that
nice.
my gums were not in good shape. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I had to do the whole deep clean and fucking that shit. Oh god, it's fucking miserable. But yeah, no, doing fine now. Teeth are nice and healthy.
Yeah, I like it. I like my teeth being healthy, so
No,
glad
I
I got all
agree.
that done. So,
Yeah.
that's it for me. I mean, uh, yeah, that was pretty much it for me today or this week. Like, I didn't
Hmm.
really do too much else. I mean, my girl bought me Starfield, which is pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
yeah. So,
But
uh, yeah. I mean, I do have a question for you. I know this is probably like a pseudo icebreaker for you, but you can
Okay.
get that. You can go with your how your week was
Well,
first.
I did just want to. I wanted to acknowledge the listeners. Thank you guys for being patient. I know it's only a day, not even really. We're gonna post this probably before 24 hours, but thank you for sticking with us despite the delay. We haven't really done that before, but I kind of made a call in the moment. Montreal texted me. I was like, you know what? There's a lot of news this week, and I don't want to talk about it solo. So, I feel like this is stuff we're both pretty interested in for the most part. So, yeah, want us both on the podcast. So yeah, what's the question?
Oh, so do you feel like video games as a whole are dying?
Didn't we do something similar to this like a few weeks ago? I feel
We
like we
we
did an
did
icebreaker like this. I feel like we did, yeah. Where like, or was like the concept of like games are worse than they used to be, or something like that.
probably.
So what kicked this off? Because I mean, the answer is no. Video games are not dying.
Well, it was not dying, but like falling off. So you know how you can say something fell off or
Okay,
whatever.
yeah.
But like, yeah, do you think video games have fell off?
No, I
And
don't. Yeah.
okay, it's this popular like YouTuber slash anime dude over there. His name's RDC World, or it's a group of them, and they were talking, and they said, and it made its rounds on Twitter, and now everybody's talking about it now because he talks about it. But he said he felt like video games fell off, and I so the reasons he said they fell off are the reasons I complain about video games. So in that aspect, I do, which he was saying, like, video games are becoming out are coming out incomplete, microtransactions, the whole 9 yards, DLC and all this other stuff like
Yeah,
that.
the checklist.
Yeah, the checklist. And then the guy countered and said, like, well, it's the consumer's fault because we buy said things and they won't have an incentive to do that if we don't buy them. So it's like, I agree with both sides. But do I think as a whole video games have fell off? No, I feel like I guess I was arguing with my friend today. We weren't really arguing, we were debating actually. It was a pretty cool debate. I feel
Yeah.
like I was at a round table talking, having a nice debate. But yeah, we were debating about it, and I mean we both came to the consensus like video games, the industry has gotten worse, has fallen off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when I mean the industry, I mean the mainstream industry, but the indie scene is kind of picking it up, and the double A is picking it up. Even though I feel like double A's are really, really, really scarce now. Like there's no such thing as a double A anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later again.
Yeah.
Too.
But I don't know. I just feel like in a way, the way we used to consume video games have fell off. I think that's what a lot of people are getting confused.
Yeah.
I think the way we consume them have fell off. I don't think video games as a whole has fallen off though.
Yeah, I don't I feel like this conversation comes up every few weeks, it seems. But yeah, this is like, no, games haven't fallen off in the way that people are saying. Yeah, those problems are true, right? Games releasing incomplete, they're bloated scopes, microtransactions, fucking predatory monetization models, all this bullshit, right? But I don't think, like, the other thing you have to keep in mind though is there are orders of magnitude more video games being released now than there were 20 years ago.
Yes.
I mean,
100%.
we're talking like 10 times as many probably are being released than there were 20 years ago. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Like I think we all get wrapped up in the big games, the sports games, fucking free to play games, gotcha games and all this shit.
Yeah.
And it's easy to like, that's all you see. But I mean, there's plenty of shit out there, and we're going to talk about, some of it today. Like, I see a few games we have listed and what we've been playing. Like, these are excellent games,
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom out there. There are good games. It's funny because like we're probably fairly negative a lot of the time on the show. But like, I don't want to lose sight of that fact though, that there are great video games coming out, like this year, I've been thinking about this year in particular, how fucking crazy this year has been in terms of like banger game releases. You've got Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which neither of us have played, but like that is like a universally just fucking praised video game right now. You got Starfield coming out, already out technically for the the digital deluxe edition people. You've got Armored Core 6 that just came out, Baldur's Gate 3 that came out. We got Spider-Man 2 still on the horizon. Like this year has been fucking nuts, man. Like in terms of big ass games, like highly anticipated games, and a lot of them are delivering. I know Diablo 4 didn't deliver, but we had some big ones that delivered. So I don't know. I mean, it's sure. In some aspects, I miss the old way of gaming, or old times of gaming. Games would just come out and they'd be good or they'd be bad. But there were plenty of bad games that came out back then too. We can't lose sight of that either. Like, dude, if you go look at the N64 library, I'd say 90 to 95% of it's dog shit.
And that's what my friend was saying. And because he has this belief, and he's like, old video games are trash. And I'm just like, I can't necessarily agree that all old games are trash.
I'd say a lot more of them are trash than we probably think, though.
Yes.
Especially now.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, one example for me recently, like in the last year I played, was like Onimusha, and I was just like, holy shit, this game's bad. Like, I fucking hate that game. Like, and I used to love Onimusha. But it's like, I also had to think too, like back in the day, we didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't know. And I use GoldenEye as an example, right? Like, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were really good first-person shooters for their time. But if we play those games now, like, they're fun, but the controls are like really fucking weird, and it will be hard for you to navigate and shit like that. But those controls, we were used to those controls and stuff like that. But the quality of life of video games, say what you want to say about them now, are way better than they were back in the day. Halo like revolutionarized the controller, first person shooters, like the way you control on those, and then everybody started using that controller scheme. So I mean, it's like, I can say if we didn't have the technology we had today, yes, those games would be the GOAT, and that's why I look at those like that. Now, there are some games that are just like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that was up for debate, in my opinion. Because I agree, old games are trash, but I can't really call them trash because like it's not nostalgia. It's just like what I call a 1975 Camaro trash, but at the time that shit was the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but like,
I mean, cars are probably different though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it probably actually is a better car than a lot of cars today, or better made car.
Yeah,
in some ways, the materials and stuff like that. I think it's a nuanced topic though, because like the series I think about the most is Metal Gear Solid, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all love Metal Gear Solid. A lot of people love Metal Gear Solid. However, Metal Gear Solids 1, 2, and 3, you can't play them today. Like, dude, they're not really that playable. Like, they have dog shit controls, and they came out right before, the third person shooter was kind of revolutionized on console, and the first person shooter with the twin stick, kind of control scheme. And they're awkward as fuck to play, dude. You know how desperately we need remakes of those games? Like, that's why Metal Gear Solid 3 getting a remake it needs to happen. Like, it needed to happen. Because 1, 2, and 3 are just, dude, they don't control well at all. Like, and yeah, sure. I'm sure you could play them and enjoy them today. And I probably would personally, but I like the series, I'm just saying, somebody that's never played that kind of game before, or as a modern gamer going back and playing those, dude, it would be so rough. Holy shit.
Yeah, I will say, for like a lot of kids who grew up and like they see the memes of Metal Gear, but they never played Metal Gear, going back and playing Metal Gear would be, first of all, it'd be really, really tough if you don't know how to navigate emulators and stuff. Like, it's almost next to impossible to play Metal Gear 1 on any kind of console.
Or 4. You can't play 4 at all, dude. 4 is like stranded on PS3.
Yeah, that's true. So you can't
one
play
is
4
at least one at least has had re-releases.
That's true. Yeah. But you can emulate 1. 4. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think there's a good PS3 emulator out there still.
There isn't.
So yeah, you can't really emulate that. And thank God I think it's getting remastered, right? on the Metal Gear collection?
Theoretically, yes. They're releasing the Volume 1 remaster collection this fall. They called it Volume 1, so presumably MGS4 will
Volume
be in
2.
Volume 2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I would
don't know.
hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be remastered. But I don't know. That's one of the only games that had like modern controls. It was Metal Gear 4. I mean, obviously 5. But like, yeah, Metal Gear 4 and 5. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's an interesting conversation to have, or interesting conversation that does pop up. And it's interesting to see the perspectives out there. I came at it from the perspective of the people that are saying this only play modern or mainstream video games.
Yeah.
Like for me, right, I can say movies fell off. But if
Yeah.
I constantly just watch the last superhero dribble that came out in the last,
Yeah,
20 years, 15 years or whatever, then yeah, I can say that, right? And then I'm like, oh, Oppenheimer and Barbie, like the fucking GOAT right now, because like that was like a real movie. Where other people were like, there have been real movies out, y'all just haven't been watching them. And that's kind of how I feel about video games right now. Like there have been real video games out, but everybody just keeps going to the same shit. So
yeah.
it's definitely a conversation that we have.
Yeah, and certain genres are better than others, right? Like RPGs, I feel like have aged so much better from that era than action games have, certainly.
Yeah, yeah.
Even fighting games have aged probably better in some ways than some of those other games. Like Street Fighter 2 is still like a fucking classic.
Yeah.
Like fighting games. So. But then I think about, to your point, though, about people, that idea of you're not experiencing everything, right? Like none of us are experiencing everything, right? And like all these conversations around Diablo 4 piss me off because we're going to talk about this game later. But like Grim Dawn's sitting right there, guys. Everything you're complaining about, this game does, and it's like nobody fucking knows this game exists. And it's so annoying. It annoys the fucking shit out of me. Streamers ignore it because it's just some dumb fucking indie game. They don't want to talk. They legitimately like go out of their way to ignore it. And it's like it's so fucking dumb, dude. Like I don't know. Some of this shit pisses me off because it's like willful ignorance in some ways. So are video games falling off? In some ways, sure. Yeah, I guess so. Definitely. But there's plenty of banger games out there still. It's not like you can't find shit that's fucking amazing,
Yeah, and I mean I use this example like say like I go out with my girlfriend or something like that, or my wife.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean it's only been like a couple months, but anyway, like so like I go with my wife, right, and we meet a couple, and I don't know if you experienced this or whatever, but it's like we meet a couple, and then they're like, "Oh, we heard that you're a gamer," and like, "Oh, my husband's games," and then the husband's like, "Oh, I play Call of Duty," and I don't want to say Fortnite. So I like Call of Duty and the old Madden or whatever, and I'm just like,
Macho rolls his eyes, and
I don't necessarily roll my eyes. I just be like, oh, that's cool, bro. Like I play a whole ton of different games. I really haven't touched those games in a while, but then I'll steer the conversation somewhere else because we're not going to go down this road. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to trash your games, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like those games. So I don't know. That's just me though. But yeah. That's all I have, though.
All right. Let's move on. Let's get into the rigmarole, and then we'll get into what we've been playing. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show that posts. Where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. I'm fucking tired this week. Fucked up the rigmarole. We post usually at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Montreal, let's get into what we've been playing this week. We got some good shit to talk about. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't mind. I was playing Scarlet Nexus, and I have since abandoned
other
that
games
game.
Have come out. Yes.
Yeah, other games have come out, so I'll probably revisit it. I was playing Bomb Rush as well until other games came out. So those are mainly the only two games I was playing. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I had another game I was playing on here as well. I was also played Wanted Dead. And that game is weird.
What the fuck is this game? Wanted Dead.
Yeah. Made by the people who used to work at Team Ninja.
Interesting. Is this an action game?
Yeah, it should be. I hope I said it right.
You did.
Yeah, it's an
Wanted
action.
Dead.
Yeah, yep. So it is definitely one of the best worst games I've ever played. I say that because the game is absolutely stiff as hell. The
Yeah.
story makes no fucking sense. Uh, they have you do these mini games in between missions and stuff like that. Like you'll like either do a ramen noodle challenge or something like that, or whatever the case may be. Um, but besides that, like I don't know. Like you do these cool finishers though. Like you could do like John Wick style finishers with your pistol and shit like that. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's it's like the best worst game ever.
What the fuck, dude? It's
Yeah,
like this hot fucking police officer chick with like a katana.
yeah. So uh
Like a bullet vest. Like
it's so weird. I bought it. I knew the reviews were bad for it, so I bought it actually when you put that link in there for Amazon, and it was I got Forspoken and I got that game for free, and I've been playing Wanted Dead until like other games came out, and I mean I had a good time. I mean I wouldn't pay full price for this game by far. It's definitely a bargain bin game, but for like $10 or $20, I mean, you get what you get, and it's a really good fucking action game for
I mean,
10 or
it
20
doesn't.
bucks.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad.
It's just when you play it. When you play it, you understand what I'm talking about.
Okay,
It
they make
doesn't
it
look
good.
bad.
They make it look good. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. When you play it, it definitely has its flaws. Um, and yeah, so I mean, it was an okay game. I feel like if they had more money and budget, it would have been a really better game than what it came out to be. So yeah. So I've been playing. We'll talk about Armor Core
Okay.
later. But I've been playing Starfield. I played like 4 hours of it today,
Yeah.
and this is probably so far, man. This game was kind of fun.
Oh
They
man,
kind of
did they do it?
they kind of delivered on what they said, man. I don't think they like. So I'm still trying to get used to traveling through the star system and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, but you can kind of like fast travel through the star systems and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
You don't have to just fly. But even flying in your ship is like really fucking cool. This game gives me like huge Mass Effect vibes. Like not
Okay.
as far as like combat. Combat is still like, Fallout 4, but a little bit better.
Oh
Uh
god.
yeah, it's still Fallout 4, but it's a lot less janky. A lot. When
Yeah.
I say a lot less janky, this game's actually really polished. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay.
Uh
Wait, what?
yeah, the game is actually I haven't ran into a fucking bug yet. Like the game is polished, bro.
No way. You're fucking with me right now.
The facial animations are really good. When the people are walking and talking and stuff, really fucking good.
Yeah.
There's open hub areas, and there are like hundreds of people around, hundreds of NPCs talking and walking around. I haven't seen no one fly up in the air or glitch through the ground or nothing, bro. Insane. I'm
Yeah.
flying in space, haven't seen nothing crazy happen in space. So far, my first 4 to 5 hours, like I'm actually like past like the opening shit, and I'm like playing the game now, and I haven't seen anybody glitch, like go crazy or anything like that.
No T poses.
No T poses or anything, bro. The
Damn,
game's
dude.
actually
Okay.
well polished. Like they did a good job.
What are you playing on? What platform?
Xbox Series X.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it's that or PC, huh?
Yeah, and I didn't get my graphics card in yet, so I'm still waiting for my 6900 to come in. So oh, that's another thing too. If you are going to play it on PC, you have to download a mod for DLSS for NVIDIA cards. This game was exclusively made for AMD, so that is a thing, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah. Besides that, though, flying in space is really cool. I heard people say like the game kind of opens up after a certain while. You do like the first two missions or something like that, and you can kind of do what you want after that. Um, and yeah, like I feel like you can do almost anything you want. I have did dogfights in space, and then you can board ships after
Yeah.
you do the dogfight in certain ships, which is
Okay.
fucking cool. You fight pirates. You can become a pirate. You can be. I mean, it's kind of crazy what you can do in the game. And I think you can have a crew that helps you manage the ship, and you can also build outposts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You can find other planets and you can just scan them, and then you can land. So there is like a loading screen in between going from like you get to the planet's atmosphere, like you scan the planet or whatever, like Mass Effect, and then you can actually pick a point where you want to land, and then from space to surface is a land is a loading screen, and
Okay.
then you're on this on the surface of the planet, and you can run like pretty far.
Yeah.
To different points on the planet once you're there. It's actually pretty fucking insane.
Okay, but it's not like because I heard this was like a pre-release thing, right? There's not, you don't like, the full planet's not accessible. Is that true?
The full planet is not accessible when you land, but you can land in different points of the planet.
And there's different maps.
Sort of, kind of, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
depending on where you land at, you can set up a landing zone and just land. So you go back to to orbit, and then you pick another spot, and then you land at that spot. That spot is pretty huge that you land on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like
Huh.
it's pretty interesting the way they did it. To be honest with you,
Okay.
um, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not like surface to air like fucking Star whatever the
No
fuck.
Man's Sky.
No, yeah, No Man's Sky and Star Citizen. That's what the one I was thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people are comparing this to Star Citizen. No Man's Sky is a good example as well. It's not surface to air like No Man's Sky, which I thought would have been cool, but it's not like that. Um, yeah, it's like hundreds of different systems you can travel to and everything like that. This is probably the closest game you're going to get to like a Cowboy Bebop if you want to feel like Cowboy Bebop, or like, you want to be like Han Solo, be a scoundrel or something like that. Uh, or you want to be like a fucking space marine or some shit. Like, this is probably the closest game you're going to get to that. Um, um, they're actually RPG mechanics. Like, I actually talked my way out of my first fight. Because I had a perk where like you
Mm.
get to choose your startup perks and everything, and I had a perk where
Yeah.
I had, I was persuasive. And I talked my way out of my first fight. So I was
Okay.
just like, and the way they do this persuasion thing is pretty interesting. It's not just a chance; it's like it's chance and points. So if you build up points, you can like persuade your way out of it if you build up a certain amount of points. You got to play it to understand what I'm talking about, but it's really
So you can
interesting
like use points in place of like rolling or something like that.
yeah, they give you like a gauge, and you have 4 tries, and then it's like you have 4 to 5 options of what to say, and then one of the options may be +2, +3, +4, +5. +5 would be the riskiest, but it could get you, all the way through. And then you got like +2, which would be like green. But even sometimes that's not guaranteed, but it's more guaranteed if you do +2, and you can
Hmm.
kind of stack that. And I think you have to get to 5. Your numbers have to equal up to 5, and then you
Okay.
pass.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's really interesting the way they did it. I only did it twice so far. Um,
Hmm.
one thing I don't like is the perk system. So when you are making your perks, you can unlock the level, the rank 1 perk, and then to get to the rank 2 perk, you have to do a challenge. So the challenge would be like, say you get unlocked jet boosters or whatever. To get to rank 2 jet boosters, not only do you have to spend a point on it, it won't let you spend a point until you do the challenge. So I have to boost 20 times or 10 times in combat or something like that. And then I'll
Mm.
get the opportunity to do that. So I mean, that will, in my opinion, that kind of slows the progression down. But I think they figured like you'll be doing so much stuff that a lot of the stuff you'll do naturally
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, it's like
Uh,
a weird pseudo take on Skyrim and Elder Scrolls system, isn't it?
yeah,
Where you
exactly.
like level up your skills.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. It feels like a really good RPG.
Hmm.
Silent protagonist. Your character's silent, which I fucking love. They got more dialogue options because of that, and the characters respond to each one of your dialogue options pretty good in my opinion. The NPCs do. Um, I don't know. It's to me, it's like the openness of Skyrim and like the RPG ness of Skyrim, but like with the combat, with a way better combat system of Fallout 4. Um, but
Hmm.
it is still a Bethesda game, so I don't know if you don't like that style of combat, then don't play it. Even though I feel like the animations are way better, even the melee animations are really good. I say really good. I'm saying really good compared to like what Bethesda usually does with their melee animations. It's really good in this game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I feel like if you're looking for like this is only 4 or 5 hours in, y'all. So it may change next week. This probably is going to change next week. But so far, like I went into this expecting nothing. Like I went dark in this game and everything, and I'm playing it now. After I've been playing it, I looked up some videos and reviews on it, and I'm quite amazed at what you can do in this game. And I'm interested to dive a little bit deeper into it.
Interesting. Well, I still have I have some months of Game Pass sitting around that, you're kind of making me think maybe I should give this game a shot since I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Might be worth it. Um cool. Well, let us know how that goes. I mean, how's the actual world though? Like the universe. Is it interesting? Interesting
Uh,
factions and stuff?
So I only met one faction right now, is the Vanguard faction. They automatically have you join the faction, which is the Constellation. Um, the world is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, like I said, it gives me Mass Effect vibes. But there aren't any other races. It's just humans. So far. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
So there aren't really any other alien races or anything like that. Um, but
Yeah, so
yeah,
this is almost more like if that holds true throughout the whole game, right?
mhm.
Is this are they going for more of a realistic sci-fi style,
Yes.
like
Uh,
something plausible?
yes. Your ships and everything look like really futuristic NASA ships, like current model ships right now, but like in the future, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, your combat armor and your space armor looks like NASA suits, but like kind of futuristic in the future or whatever. Um, so they're not really going for like fantasy sci-fi. They're going for like
Mass Effect style. They're going more for like the Expanse.
yes, that's actually the Expanse. Fuck, what was the other goddamn show?
Um,
Firefly.
yeah,
I get big Firefly vibes from it as well.
okay, or like
Very
Interstellar, maybe.
yeah, Interstellar. Yeah, Space Odyssey.
Yeah, okay,
All those like realistic sci-fi. That's what they're going for. Even though the art style of it is kind of like Fallout 4ish and not I wouldn't even say Fallout 4ish. I would say like it's just more stylized. It's not their faces don't really look realistic, but they look realistic if that makes any sense. It's like a nice fine in between. You can tell graphics weren't really like they're going for more of an art style more than like we want to have realistic graphics. And I respect them for that. In
yeah,
my opinion. So
yeah.
uh yeah, I think it's really cool. The guns look more modern, like more from our time, but this does take like this does take place like 2 or 300 years in the future. Um, but but it's not like Mass Effect where they have fucking Omni tools and shit. They have like a space watch, but the space watch looks like a fucking
Watch.
Apple Watch,
Yeah,
or
yeah. It
whatever.
just looks like a
Uh,
watch.
yeah. So yeah, I would say Interstellar, The Expanse, Space Odyssey, uh, and Firefly. Like I get those vibes from the game.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, it sounds interesting. So I guess a question for you though. So are we giving Xbox credit for this one?
Yes, I am. I
Like
think
do
they did a good
they get
job.
credit they get credit for how good this is?
Yeah, I think I've been on the internet today, and I before I even played the game, because I was on the internet today
Mhm.
at work, and I got off early, like I told you. Um,
Mhm.
and the way the industry is super Sony biased is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I even saw IGN say, no, PC Gamer, I'm sorry. PC Gamer said this game's not better than Skyrim or Fallout 4. That's bullshit because Fallout 4 was fucking terrible. Even though I played the shit out of it, obviously within the
Mhm.
last couple weeks. I had to mod the fuck out of it though to get it to where
You're
I wanted to
speaking
get it
from
to.
experience though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I played it on launch, fucking terrible. And
Yeah, it
this
wasn't good.
game is
It wasn't
actually
good.
good on launch. Like
Yeah.
that was a really bad take, like from PC Gamer. And then even IGN only gave it a 7 because they said, you know, I I love Fallout 4, but this game does everything. But I don't know, Fallout 4 is just still better. How? What Fallout 4 have
What
y'all been
world?
playing?
I don't know, dude. What the people are like in their feelings about Fallout 4, dude. I don't understand why anybody fucking likes that game. Like, I hate Fallout 4. Yeah, I think it's dog shit. Like, straight up, I
Yeah.
fucking hate that game. Like, it's.
I mean,
I don't
if
know.
anyone was to tell me that, I would agree. The only reason I played it because I have it, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm gonna give it another chance. And then the modding they put on the actual Xbox side of things was really cool.
Yeah.
So I modded the game, and then I made it to where I made it Fallout lore relevant. Like that's what I did with the game.
Yeah.
With this game, like I feel like they actually listened to a lot of the feedback from that game and Fallout 76, and they put it into this game.
Yeah.
There's still some stuff that needs to be worked on. I don't like their modding system and everything like that, but the guns look way fucking better than Fallout 4. Like those little bulky, I don't know what the fuck they were going for in Fallout 4. But in this game, like, yeah, you can tell they put all the money that was supposed to go into Fallout universe, they put into this game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And it paid off, in my opinion. I from what I'm hearing from reviewers though, I don't like the Fallout 4 take. I don't like the Skyrim take, even though I think Skyrim was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't like the Skyrim take. And a lot of other people too. A lot of like YouTubers are salty because they didn't get review copies. So that was a big another thing too that a lot of people were upset about.
Yeah.
A lot Kotaku didn't get a review copy. Eurogamer didn't get a review copy until
dude, Kotaku has been blacklisted by Bethesda for a long ass time. Like, so why did they expect a copy? It's funny as hell. Oh my god, that's so funny. No, this is something in the video game industry with journalists. They're such amateur fucking babies, dude. Like, being blacklisted in the media is normal. That happens in every other industry, that covers anything, like that is not an abnormal thing. So they get so butthurt that they don't get their free fucking video game. Like it is so on my radar with that shit. It's like YouTubers do this stuff too. There's so many YouTubers out there that fucking whine and complain about that shit. And like, even the need to just say that you didn't get a copy, like Skill Up fucking did that this week. He put a tweet out.
I was just about to say that.
I'm like, really bro, like, why do you think like, how self-important does he think he is at this point that he has to like say, oh, I didn't get a review copy, guys, don't expect a review? It's like, I mean, okay, dude, like,
to be honest,
I don't know. Like,
you know how I feel about Skill Up now. Like, I feel like he lost all credibility with fucking Cyberpunk, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Eurogamer didn't get one until is either Eurogamer or another outlet that didn't get one until they actually complained about it on Twitter, and then they sent them, and then Bethesda sent them one. Yeah, so
oh my god.
So now everyone's complaining that like, they're trying to I don't know what you would say, like blowed up their review or whatever for the game. But I think in my opinion, this is my humble opinion with Starfield, and I'll let you go. I said this on Twitter, and I will stick by this. And this is not because I'm a Xbox fanboy. I've been an Xbox fanboy since like the fucking 360 era. They can drop Xbox right now could drop fucking Fable, right? And it's like the best fucking thing since sliced bread, bro. It's a 10 out of 10. It has, the fucking role playing of fucking Baldur's Gate, the action combat of fucking Devil May Cry, and the fucking, dialogue tree of fucking
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, bro. It can have all that shit, bro. And it gets a 10 out of 10. And people, even the industry, and then people in general, gamers in general, be like, nah, man, it's not on fucking PlayStation.
I'm gonna tell you what the complaint will be. I'll tell you what the complaint will be. The main character's ugly. That's what the complaint about that one's gonna be. That's gonna be the take.
I feel like people will still say, no, I'm not going to give it a chance because it's not on PlayStation, bro. Like I'm not. And I feel like I think that's why I like us, because we don't really care where our games come from. If it's a good fucking game, we're gonna fucking play it regardless. I mean,
Yeah,
we
I
may
think
have
that's
our
the issue.
biases, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
but like we will play a game if it's available to us. But yeah,
Yeah.
like today I saw like a huge bias, bro. Like in my opinion, I like Final Fantasy 16 is a really good game, right? But it had
Mm,
clear issues.
yeah.
But everybody negated those issues because it's Final Fantasy. And like
Yeah.
Starfield has some issues, but like I don't think it's bad to where for this game to get an 88 or get an 8 or even get a fucking 7, in my opinion, this game's fucking polished. Like that's really fucking good. And people are like, ugh,
No.
you did all that for an 8? Ugh, whoop. They couldn't even get a fucking 9 or a 10. Trash. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the standard now? A game has to be a 9
Yeah,
or a 10 to
an
be good?
8 is trash. Oh my god, dude, man, don't listen to this podcast then, because we don't give many games that high of a score.
Exactly.
Like Jesus Christ. I mean, dude, it's to my point, to my question, I guess is what I was asking. Do we give Microsoft credit for this game? I mean, my thing is, I would say yes, right? Because if we're gonna give them credit for how bad Redfall was, you need to give them credit for this game, right?
Yeah.
It's the same fucking company. Like they're both owned by ZeniMax, Bethesda, the publisher. So if we're gonna slam them for how bad Redfall was, we can't sit here and fucking take Starfield away from them. I don't think that's fair. So,
And on top of that, I really think Xbox was responsible for them pushing that game back. Because you remember it was supposed to come out
Starfield.
earlier this year. It was supposed to come out last year.
Well, the thing is, they gave them the time, right? No, this game was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out last year. I think it was supposed to I think they even wanted it to come out like 2 years ago, and it didn't. They weren't close, and you got to give Xbox credit for giving them the time to make it, to polish it. If you're sitting here saying this game is relatively bug free, dude, that is a big deal for Bethesda. That has never been true. Like I don't remember a game they've ever released where that was not a conversation point, So that's actually a huge achievement for this company, in my opinion, if that's the case.
Yeah, like I haven't ran even when I play Fallout to this day, like patched to hell, or everything almost patched. I still run into bugs. I still run into the AI glitching out and everything like that. This game, I haven't run into none of that shit, bro. Like they really tried with this shit. And I think it's kind of unfair. Like you can tell when the developer actually tried, and it's like I think it's unfair that the people are like not giving them a chance, because I understand it. They released Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 in this like horrid state, and now you expect us to give us a chance. And it's like I don't know. It's like it's almost the reason. It's the reason also why I'm giving Cyberpunk another chance as well. Like when that game comes out, I'm going to give it, or when the update comes out, I'm going to give another chance to play it, because it's like we complained about it, so now I need to actually play it.
Dude, they put 3 years of effort into fixing it. Yeah,
exactly.
So that is notable from CD Projekt Red. So
yeah, exactly.
I definitely do think they deserve another chance for that. Certainly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this will be the new standard, because I feel like Skyrim was the standard for them, right? That was their bar, and I feel like this game so far, I've been enjoying it. It has surpassed like Skyrim for me, so far. But like I said, that may change next week. But
Okay.
yeah, that's all I have.
All right, let's move on to Armored Core 6. I want us to have time to talk about this one in depth as well. So Armored Core 6, I mean, I'm sure you've already beaten it, right?
No, actually, I haven't.
Okay. All right. I was so afraid that I was going to get on the show and I'm like at the end of chapter 1 and Montreal's always like, oh, I beat it twice already. Like, okay, so where are you at in the game? Like, how deep?
I'm on the back end of chapter 3. I think it's only like 5 or 6 chapters.
There's only 5 chapters. Okay, so you're not actually that far ahead of me then. Yeah. Okay. I think you're only like maybe 8 missions ahead right now.
Probably. So this game for me, bro, I love this game. It's just insanely stressful. I can only play like 3 hours at a time.
Really?
3 hours
okay.
at a time. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's what Dark Souls does to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this game is really stressful.
I don't have that problem with this game.
Like it's not the So for me, this game is stressful because I'm always constantly thinking about how I can improve my build. My mind is
Mhm.
constantly going. Even when I'm fighting, I'm constantly thinking like, okay, I can improve
Yeah.
on this. Can I buy this? I have too much energy for this, or this. I need to, take this weight off my on this, or whatever the case may be. Um, and it's like I also want to try other builds while I'm playing the main game. And maybe I should just go through and finish the main games. I have my two main builds that I have now. I have them saved. I'm like, this build is for this and this build is for that or whatever. And maybe I should just go through with that. But I don't know. The game is it's so small but big, if that makes any sense in the same sense.
Yeah.
The boss fights, I will say, are stressful for me. Everything else is like, yeah, but like the boss fights are stressful. Like
Mm. Mhm.
I'm dying to the bosses like maybe 14, 15 times before I got them. The,
Damn. Okay. Wow.
the last boss that I fought was like a mini boss. It was called the PCA Warrant Officer,
Yeah.
and that motherfucker was beating me to shreds. And
Yeah.
he's like a small, like, he's not like a huge fucking boss. It's like a regular fucking.
Like an armor
He was,
core
yeah.
almost. Yeah.
And then yeah, he was just beating my ass, man. And it was a combination of, I don't know if you remember the Capra Demon from like Dark Souls 1, where it's that you walk into like an alleyway
No,
and
I
then
have
this.
no idea.
Okay, it's this Capra Demon. He's not even that big of a deal of a boss, right? But
Yeah.
what makes him so hard is the area they put him in. It's the small, narrow ass hallway or alley, and then
Yeah.
he has two fucking dogs also come at you at the same time while he's coming at you. So you actually encounter the Capra Demon later on in Dark Souls 1, and he's easy as fuck to fight against. But because he's in that small, they made him a boss because he's in that small hallway or a small alleyway with two dogs coming at you, and the only thing
Mm.
you have is a stairwell for elevation, and that's it. And it's kind of the same thing with this fucking PCA warrant officer. There's like three little small dudes fighting you, shooting laser beams at you, plasma lasers at you, and then him with his like special stuff that he does
Oh
as
wait, they
well.
do that again? Oh
Yeah.
fuck, bro. I just did the mission that's like, it's not like a boss per se, but they have that same setup where they have these invis stealth guys shooting lasers at you from the walls like really high up, and there's one dude on the bottom attacking you with like a plasma whip constantly. So they do
So
that shit again but harder. Great.
in my
Awesome.
in my opinion, you know what? It was funny. I didn't have issues with the invisible guys. These
Yeah.
guys, for some reason, I had issues with them, but that's because I wasn't as
I mean, I
experienced. But
didn't have
like,
issues with it. I'm just saying, like, I think I died once, like, on it. It's not,
yeah.
wasn't that bad, but it was a pain in my ass. I'm just saying, like, it
So
took me 10 minutes to finish. Like,
so did you fight Baltius yet or Baltius?
no, I
Okay.
fought two bosses, so
Okay.
I'm not super deep. I'm assuming I'm gonna fight a boss obviously at the end of I'm on the last mission of chapter 1. I'm about to do that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think you fought him then. So what two bosses did you fight?
So I fought the giant attack helicopter in the first mission,
Okay.
the tutorial mission, and then I just fought the Juggernaut, which is the one with the giant shield on the front of it, where you fight with
Okay.
another guy
Yeah.
for half the battle,
Yeah.
and then you fight the second half by yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah. So yeah, you're about to run into the skill check.
Oh, great.
But yeah. Besides that, like I love the game though. I actually want to go back. Like, so the game is meant to be played to so where you have to go back and do certain missions and stuff like that. So like now I'm afraid it's kind of wild because I'm afraid to take on missions now because I feel like I'm not strong enough to take on those missions because
Hmm.
that mission I had to go back, like the PCA warrant officer mission. I had to go back and I had to like build my armor core up and like try different builds and stuff like that, get some more money and look at the parts in the store and
Mm.
everything of that nature.
Hmm.
Um and then I fought like like I'm a rank B officer now, as far
Yeah.
as like the arena and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm fighting B rank people now. Even those people are getting kind of hard. Like you got to do different strategies. You have to actually read their movements and see when they're it's crazy now. So that's why I'm saying for me it's getting kind of like stressful because like now I have to kind of like actually analyze the robots I'm fighting or the mechs I'm
Mm.
fighting and
Hmm.
like you know try to use my build to my advantage or whatever the case may be. And then sometimes it's like, man, this build probably just can't beat this build, and I got to build something else. according to that, but it's like also, or maybe I can just get good of my build. So it's like a lot of things I'm thinking about because I don't really like using the tank or the quad legs. Even though the
Yeah.
tank is like the smaller tank legs are really fucking cool. They're like it's like a dude. It looks like a dude in a wheelchair. Like he's really fucking. Is that funny?
I could just see like the torso just like wiggling around like a bobblehead, you know, like
Yeah,
that's probably
man.
what it looks like, right?
I fought this one like in the arena. I fought this NPC who had
Mhm.
like the smaller tank legs and like two massive fucking grenade launchers on his shoulders, and he was just fucking fast as fuck, boy. He was just
Oh
like
my
shooting at me and
god.
stuff. And I couldn't. For the longest, I couldn't beat. Not for the longest. It took me like 5 tries to beat him, but I beat him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I feel like if I feel like this game, sometimes the NPCs are harder than, and maybe because I'm fighting newer people, like the Armored Core people I'm fighting, like on multiplayer, they're like new Armored Core people, so they don't really know how to play the game in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like when I play them, I hawk them the fuck down. Like I'm playing like one of the like NPCs. I feel like the NPCs read your inputs. Um, so like
Yeah.
I'm hawking them down, and they just cannot. They are like people are stressed out when I'm fighting them. I can tell because they just don't know what to do because I'm like dodging and getting out of their targeting system and like killing them and stuff like that really
Yeah, if you
fast.
get behind people, they're fucking dude, you're gonna fuck them over. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my character is built like that. Like I'm a glass cannon. So I move really fast, I shoot really hard, but if I get hit, like you can take me out with like 2 or 3 hits or whatever.
Yeah.
Um and that's kind of how I like to play. I like high risk, high reward type games to play. I like. I do wish they had more parts. I heard that you do unlock more parts, but so far I wish I had more parts. And then I heard that you can find more parts in the
In the missions,
in
yeah,
the
in some of
missions
the
and stuff like
missions.
that.
Yeah.
So, but I one thing I am so glad for. First of all, I'm really glad that they upped the difficulty on like the cannon fodder. Like, because even the cannon fodder can take you out if you're not really good.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I'm really glad they did that. And I'm really glad like the first couple missions were only like get used to your AC and now you're playing the fucking game. Like it wasn't they went straight into the shits. They didn't do the whole Ace Combat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ace Combat, like Ace Combat or
Mm.
a lot of people consider Armored Core like a simulator, and they didn't do the whole simulator feel, which I don't like for Armored Core. I feel like it should be like this. Like I should be ready to go and everything like that because this is actually the easiest Armored Core to control in my opinion. A lot of the other Armored Core games are a lot harder to control or get used to as far as targeting and everything like that. Um, eh, um, yeah, I just feel like this was made accessible for everybody. I saw some people complaining about it. Old Armored Core fans complaining about it, but I mean, to me, they can go suck a dick. This game is the pinnacle of Armored Core, in my opinion. All of
Yeah.
their experience from Software they learned, they put into this game, and you can tell like they really want to revolutionize the way mech genre is. Because like Damon X. Oh, I heard people saying like, well, people are saying Armored Core is a 10, but Damon X Machina is there. No, guys, let's be honest with ourselves. I played Damon X Machina, and I was just like, oh, it's another mech game. It's cool, but they didn't really revolutionize anything. They didn't really do any good quality of life changes. Your mech in that game kind of doesn't have any weight. Like I don't know, there's just a lot of issues with that game. Whereas this game, like I felt like they really pushed the genre forward, and everybody's going to be looking at this game when they make a mech game. Like that's how you do a mech game, or like the Japanese version of mech games. That's how you do the Japanese version of mech games. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm really interested in seeing like what other people try to mimic from this because I feel like now this is the golden standard for mech games. They set the bar again, uh, for what they do, and yeah.
Okay. This happens to me every so often in my gaming life where I play a game and it's really deep into a series and I've never played that series before. And
Mhm.
then I play the game and I love the game and I just wonder to myself, where has this been all my life? Why did it take me this long to get into a game series? And I'm having this moment right now with Armored Core 6. I will say I haven't played that deep. Obviously, I'm at the end of chapter 1. It's not that far. It's a handful of hours, maybe 7 or 8, maybe at most. But I'm already feeling the like this game makes so much fucking sense in its game systems. Dude, it is like painful how much sense it all makes. Like I'm like going through the menus and I'm looking at all the stats on the, you know, the parts and everything and what they all do and all that. I'm trying to understand all that shit. And I'm like, holy shit. This makes so much sense to me. Like, I don't like, dude, the way the load works and then your the energy system, you know, with that. And then you've got your fucking boosters that do different types of thrust for your like quick thrust, basically your dodge, essentially. The way that the different boosters are different in that regard. Some of them boost you further. Some of them let you boost more often, but shorter distances, you know, things like that. I just think that this game is fucking awesome, dude. Like I'm in love. I haven't had a lot of time to play it.
Yes.
But but man, when I tell you Montreal, okay, first mission, right? The tutorial mission. I think if I was playing Dark Souls, I would have just fucking put the game down and like given it up, right? If this had happened. I died to the first boss probably 7 times, I think, before I beat it. And the first attempt I had was my best one up until the time I beat it. And it was one of those situations where I was just getting fucked up by this boss over and over and over again, and it was like getting progressively worse. I was like, I was getting frustrated, but I just sat there and I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, all right, what am I doing wrong here? Like I actually like sat there and thought about it. Like, okay, I'm getting really frustrated. I'm just like, I'm kind of letting this guy pick me apart, you know, the stupid fucking helicopter. And then I like tactically made different decisions and changed the way I was trying to fight the dude, because in the first arena, there's a really open section where you kind of get ambushed by the helicopter, where you left to like scan a part of basically like a broken mech for something, for like a log, or it's the license you're trying to find. That's right. And then the attack helicopter comes from behind you and fucking ambushes you and like unloads on you if you're standing there, you know. And you get your fucking ass handed to you. However, there's an open area in the middle. However, on the sides, like there's a ton of cover around the sides, and it's really interesting to play a fucking mech game. And it's like you need to use the cover extremely well in order to survive the volleys of like machine gun fire, rocket fire, and everything that this helicopter's throwing at you. And it took me several attempts to get to the point where I'm like, you know, kind of understanding that, okay, there are attack windows for this thing. I need to lure it in close where I'm behind cover so I can jump up and fucking slash twice with my sword, you know, like get into range so it can't hit me, get up fast, slash twice. And then if I do enough damage to it, maybe I can stagger it and I can really fuck this guy up, you know, and that's eventually where I got to with it. And I was able to beat it pretty easily, actually, on that attempt that I finally did it. If I was playing Dark Souls, I would have just been like, I fucking hate this game. Like I would have just been so annoyed, like after death number 6 or 7, and I would have been like, because the thing that was frustrating me about it, and I hate this in these games, like FromSoft tends to do this, where the first boss is like, you can't change your loadout or anything. You can't change your equipment. You're just walking in with whatever the game has given you for that early section of the game, and that's why I get pissed off, right? Armored Core does the same thing. You can't change your loadout in that first mission. They give you an AC and you have to beat the mission with that AC. And I didn't really like the loadout of the AC, that initial loadout.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling it. So but I did take that step back and was like, okay, what do I have at my disposal? How can I beat this thing? And I figured it out and I beat it, right? And then the game kind of slows down and you're just doing these little stupid missions against, you know, like easy enemies. But to Montreal's point, though, they're not like autopilot, turn your brain off easy. You know, like you do need to pay attention. And I love how tactical this game is, even in its smaller encounters. Because there's a mission early on, like it's like the second or third one I think you do, like after the tutorial one, where you go back to that same area and there's a bunch of mortar cannons that you have to take out. And there's a ton of enemies around those cannons. And then there's the cannon itself. And if you try to go head on against that, you're just going to get destroyed, dude. Like, like absolutely obliterated. So it's like, you're like in that mission, and there's a ton of enemies on this fucking map, by the way. Like it is littered with MTs and smaller enemies. And then the little like drone guys that shoot at you and shit up in the air. There's tons of enemies. So, and you don't have to kill them all. Like there's no reason to destroy them all. You do get a little extra reward, but it's generally probably not worth it for the effort. So it's like, it turns into this like speedy stealth mission where you're like bobbing and weaving out of where I'm like bobbing and weaving out of buildings underneath bridges and shit, coming up behind the fucking mortar cannon, taking it out and just getting out, you know? Like it's fucking like it felt so badass. I'm like, dude, this is fucking awesome. I feel like I'm actually doing like a military operation, you know? Like the mission is not to destroy everything here. It's to destroy these fucking 5 mortar cannons, you know? And that's what I'm doing. That's what that's what you're doing, right? And I'm loving that feel. Like even in the small moments, the game feels thoughtful, you know, like they place enemies very particularly to challenge you in a certain way. And I don't know, I love that. Like Operation Wall Climber, which is the first, like what I would say is like the first like real mission in the game, where you have to go, you're trying to get into this wall installation and get to the top of it, but it's too tall for your AC to just like fly to the top. So you have to like infiltrate it. But it starts you on the outside up far away from it. And, you have allies with you that are like, attacking at the same time, but they're not really important in this instance. But there you see like an enemy at the top shooting like mortar fire down. And then there's tons of enemies, dude, like fucking crazy amount of enemies on this map. But you have to get to the wall, get inside. You have to destroy a kind of like an artillery mech on the bottom, get inside, infiltrate the inside. And there's a few encounters on the inside. And then you get to a point where you get to the top and there's a checkpoint there and you get to resupply and then you fight a boss, basically. Yeah. But I loved that mission. And I'm hoping there's more missions like that because it's like an endurance test at the same time. Because getting through that first section outside and fighting that mini boss and then getting inside and getting to the resupply point was actually hard. Like I barely made it. I had about half of my AC's health left with like no repair kits by the time I got there, and it's like these little enemies like don't fuck around, man. Like they're gonna fucking hit you, your dodge in this game has no iframes. There's no iframes in Armored Core, and that is something I think people are will probably have trouble getting used to if you're coming from Dark Souls or Elden Ring, for sure. Like there is no iframes. If you dodge and you are still in the blast radius of an explosion, you will take damage. Yep. And that is something you have to understand playing this game. And it's something that I'm learning, right? Is how to position yourself appropriately and approach an enemy the correct way. Because if you take the wrong angle, you're going to get hit by things, even if you try to dodge.
So that's why I say the game is stressful for me. I like it's a good stressful. Like when I say stressful, it's a good stressful because like that mission is a really good example. Like for me, when I did that mission and I had to do a mission again so I can get an S rank for it, I had to strategically think, okay, I'm going to jump on that first wall, take out those 2 guys. I know the fucking mortar guy who's shooting down a beam at me. He's going to shoot me like every 3 seconds. So I'm going to take him out with my shotgun or whatever weapon I'm using really quick. Boom, boom, boom. Take him out. Move over to the right. Move all the way over to the left-hand side. Get those guys on the front there or on the wall or whatever. Then get the 2 little front guys or whatever. I'm going to fight that other AC that's in the middle that's waiting for me. Kill him real quick. All right, good. I got that done. How much ammo do I use? I didn't use that much ammo. Okay, cool. I don't need to do this or whatever. You got to think about all that because you can get negative money at the end of a mission. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. You can actually run out of ammo during a mission. So like, I think a lot of people are encountering that, and everything of that nature. And I actually like it. I like how this game has always been like that, but or the series has always been like very methodical with how they did it. But in my opinion, compared to the other games, this one shows like their experience with how they make games. Like, I don't know, From Software, love them or hate them, bro. Like they use their experience from past games to fuel the next game. And it's like, because you see like the Madden team or whatever, or any other team, they don't really like learn from their mistakes. Like this company learns from their mistakes and then improves upon like the last game or whatever, and takes what works and takes what doesn't work. Like the enemy placements, to me, that's nothing but like all their experience with Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne. I mean, they had like Armored Core and everything like that, Kingsfield and all that stuff like that, but like you really saw it with these last games in this game. And I don't know, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just really wanted to iterate. That's a good mission to point out that you have to be strategic how you fight, because
Yeah.
it's gonna get harder from there. Like there's
Yeah.
certain missions where you don't have a supply point, and you
Yeah.
just have to tough it out.
You gotta
You know,
go
you
through all the way through the boss with no supply point. Yeah.
exactly.
Well, dude, that mission in particular. So, right, the first time I attempted it, I died. Like I got killed at the bottom fighting the mini boss. So the second time, I like took stock of the battlefield the next time rather than just diving right in. I'm like, okay, what happened to me this time? What happened to me last time? I was like, okay, right behind the mini boss, there's a platform. Like the wall kind of goes up, you know, I don't know, 50 to 100 feet, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of enemies on that part of the wall, and they're all shooting plasma artillery down on you, you know. So
Mhm.
I decided, okay, I'm gonna basically like try to stealth my way to the wall, like go down low, because you can go down low. There's a section of it where like it, you know, you're going under a bridge and you can kind of climb the bridge a little bit.
Yeah.
And there are enemies there, but there's a lot less than if you just go straight on like through the city. So I took the underneath route, went underneath, you know, killed the little enemies that were there, and then jumped into the city and like bobbed and weave out between the buildings so that the enemies couldn't shoot me, and kind of blitz the wall. And then there's a jump platform that lets you, you know, there's these platforms that like shoot you higher up than normal.
Mhm.
There's one right underneath the wall. So I jumped on that and I took out all the artillery on both sides of the wall before I engaged the mini boss. And I just used my sword, you know, to do it. The enemies couldn't turn to shoot me. So, you know, it's like I just took them all out before I engaged the boss. So then I started fighting the mini boss and I dragged him into the city basically. And
Mm.
I stuck him. I basically got him caught in a corner where I was able to go basically dodge around the building, hit him from behind with my sword twice, and then literally turn around and just go around the other side of the building. By the time he turned around, I was behind him again, hitting him with my sword twice. Like I just kept going back and forth doing that basically, and he barely hit me with that. And I was just taking advantage of the boss's size, you know, in an enclosed space. He like couldn't
Yep.
maneuver out of it essentially. And yeah, I pretty much mostly got him without getting hit. Some little enemies started coming around towards the end that I had to deal with, but yeah, it's like, dude, there's a lot of strategy in this game. This game is actually really tactical. It is not like a Twitch game in the sense of like, I don't know, I never played Zone of the Enders, but what I envision Zone of the Enders is
Yeah.
where it's like super, like it's not super twitchy. It's not about dodging. Like dodging at this perfect time is an element of the game at times, of course, but like that's not gonna, you're not gonna win combat just doing that. You need to take
Yeah.
the battles in the correct way, use the environment to your advantage, use enemy placements to your advantage, things like that. And that fight against Juggernaut up at the top of the wall was a really fun fight to kind of demonstrate how you should approach combat. It's kind of another moment where the game kind of encourages you to think about strategy, right? They put this giant shield on the front of the enemy, of the boss, and you can't penetrate it. Like you will not do any damage if you try to shoot the front. So you have to get behind it. And obviously you can do that on the ground by going around it, or it will charge you sometimes and you can maybe get around it that way. But the other way is just flying above it. It can't do anything if you're above it, you know?
Yep.
That's the way the boss is like designed. And that's like, it took me 2 or 3 attempts to get for that to click in my head. But once it did, I just like started jumping over him and turned around and shot him real quick, you know? And it's like, he can't do anything about it, you know? That's just the way that boss is. It had like a very clear, distinct weakness. And I'm sure some other bosses, you know, it's not going to be that easy, right? But I like the way they're layering. I don't know. There's like a curve that they're trying to. They actually did a good job, I feel like, of easing new players into the game a little bit. They didn't just throw the hard shit at you, which they did that way back in the day, you know, and that's kind of what turned me off from the series, because I played Armored Core 4 on PS3 way back in the day. And I remember the second mission being absolutely fucking insane. And like I couldn't beat it because you have nothing at your disposal beyond like the first AC they give you, and the game was like just like, fuck you, this is super hard, beat it, loser. You know, basically. And it just like, I never beat it, and I just like, whatever, fuck this game, and I moved on to something else, you know. They didn't do that here, and I appreciate that a lot more. I think that first helicopter is kind of that like blocker, but it's a lot easier to get through than what I remember from Armored Core 4. So I think once you get past that, the game like kind of eases you into the rest of it. You know, it starts teaching you mechanics. There's training missions. that you can go through, and it kind of teaches you how to build different types of ACs or shows you how they can be built potentially,
Yeah.
and like what their strengths and weaknesses are. And I think that stuff is really cool. And I just like, again, like I was saying earlier on, the stat system makes so like so much sense. I love all the statistics in this game. It is actually not overly complicated. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
not.
once you get it, there are clusters of stats that do a specific thing and have a kind of a specific function, right? And all those stats are related to what that thing is. You know, there's like your boost stats, there's your weight stats, there's your energy stats, there's your armor stats, and then there's your attack stats. You know, there's a little bit more than that, but that's kind of like the basic categories, and there's substats within all of those categories that all do different things, but they all make sense together. And when you start like mucking around with changing your parts out, the way that your stats go up and down depending on what the part is makes total sense. If you put on heavy AC parts, like heavy armor AC parts, well, your fucking armor goes up and your weight goes way up, but your boost goes way down as a result. You know, these things are logical and like kind of make sense. The mixing and matching is where it gets a little bit more nuanced and interesting, where you're like maybe combining heavy parts with lighter parts potentially, depending on the kind of build you're going for. And same with the weapons, right? Weapons have weight as well, obviously. And certain types of weapons are disadvantageous on lighter frames, you know. So there's a couple charge weapons that I've been playing with that I've been kind of trying out, and your AC will, if you charge the weapon up when you shoot it, your AC stops and gets into a shooting stance and fires, you know, which makes you super vulnerable to damage when you do that. The heavier ACs don't have that problem, you know, like if you're charging something up, the heavier ones will not stop to fire. They can continue moving while you're shooting the charged shot. So there's all this nuance to it that I haven't really gotten deep enough in to experience quite yet. But I'm like super excited to get more into this game. Like I fucking love it, dude. I love the movement. I think the way that they like, this is like semi-realism. I feel like, you know, it's not obviously it is still arcadey in some way, but it's not all the way arcadey, you know? And I love the balance they're striking here. Because I love the way the ACs move. They feel so fucking good to control. Like it is. Yeah,
It's actually really interesting that you're saying that, because I feel the same way. I feel like the ACs are very arcadey but realistic in the same way.
yeah,
Our other Armored Core games, like I said, were almost borderline simulation, which is
yeah.
probably why you had so much issues with like Armored Core 3. 4 actually took it in the way of like 4. I think it's called 4 for Answer. That took it in the way for almost that arcadey, like almost anime feel. Like
Mhm.
1 through 3, in my opinion, of Armored Core, they were more simulation type. If this was a real mech, this is how it would move and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then 4 kind of like, hey, how about we make it with, because I introduced quick boost and everything of that nature. And then 6, just, in my opinion, just kind of went almost full like, if you want to build a fucking Gundam, well, go ahead and build a fucking Gundam. You can do it,
Mhm.
bro.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
and it's like, and that's what I feel like. But it's also like, if you watch Gundam series, like they also in the cartoons or in the anime, sorry y'all, in the anime, like they have strategy. They like, okay, I can't just
Mhm.
like, even though these Gundams are like ultra cool and everything got scythes and everything, they can't just go into battle like trying to fuck everybody up. They have to strategically do it. And this
Mhm.
game, in my opinion, fits that balance. Like you can have certain weapons like that or whatever the case may be, but you are still at the mercy of like, all right, you are still only just one mech and gets a ton of enemies. Like you have to strategically go around these things. And I don't know,
Mhm.
I just love that. I love that feel between simulation and arcadey, tactical and action and
Yeah.
everything of that nature. Because you can make it a Twitch, like a Twitch fucking
Yeah. Yes.
anime
Definitely.
style thing, because that's kind of how the style I'm playing. But I still have to play tactical. I still have to be real tactical with
Like you
how I
said, your
move and
glass
everything.
cannon, dude. If they catch you, you're fucking done, man.
Exactly,
Like you
exactly.
will die in one volley, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I have to strike that balance with it, and I actually love it. The game will get harder. I will say that. I feel like the next boss will be a real skill
Mhm.
check for you. And I'm not just saying that because you're new. I'm saying it because it was for me too. I feel
Yeah.
like this boss is a skill check for everybody. A lot of people got skill checked and quit the game and refunded the game after the helicopter.
Yeah, no, I think the helicopter actually is a skill check. I think they're introducing you in a real way to what to expect from the rest of the game. Like, you can't just fight the helicopter out in the open. Like, you literally can't. You don't have enough boost. You can't stay in the air long enough. Like, you cannot dodge its volleys of bullets for very long. And like, if you try, you will fucking die. It will stagger you and it will destroy you.
I think that boss was meant to actually deconstruct the player, like actually break down the player.
Yeah,
I pretty much I know they figured, okay, we're about to get a lot of Dark Souls, a lot of Bloodborne, a lot of Sekiro players playing this game, and they're going to expect invincibility frames and their dodge. We have to teach them that is not a thing in this game.
Right.
Like, this is what you expect from this game, and I think that was a really good way to break you down and tell you, like, you're not the player, you're not, the other player, and then once you beat that helicopter, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then the game's like, okay, now this is how you really play the game. And I'm going to teach you now. Like, these are the training missions for you. These are different builds. And you're like, oh, I have all this at my disposal now. Now, I know some people can counter that and say, like, why don't they do the training missions before that boss? That is a good argument, in my opinion. Like, they could just do that. But it's not really how From Software works. I mean, even when you're playing Sekiro, right? They teach you basic stuff on how to do stealth and everything like that. But there's even a skill check in that game before you even get to the general. I forgot his name already, who cuts off your arm. Before you even get to him, you have
Lady
options.
Butterfly.
Yeah. Not Lady Butterfly, but the
well, she's optional. That's right. Yeah,
she's optional. But what's the other guy that literally cuts off your arm? Like, you just get thrown into that boss fight.
Genichiro, right?
Genichiro, yeah.
Yeah, the guy at the top of the fortress, right?
Yeah, top of the fortress. But you meet him before in the grass field. He cuts off your arm.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I feel like that was like a pseudo skill check. They're like, this is what to expect from this game. And I don't know. They did it, but this time you had to beat the boss. And I was just like, because when I went against the helicopter too, I died the first time. I was like, was I supposed to die? And it was like, no, you gotta play this again. I was like, oh shit, I gotta play this whole mission again. So
I mean, dude, that thing rips you to shreds if you're out in the open. Like, if you're not behind cover, like it fucking destroys you, man. Like it. And the game, I will say the game does kind of throw you a curveball in the way it tries to show you like how to beat it a little bit. Because I think if you die enough times, it shows you a little clip of like something you can do, and it talks about like dodging in midair. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about, man? Man, I can't even get up high enough to hit this fucking thing before my fucking energy gauge runs out. Forget about dodging in midair. Like, fuck that, dude. But I'm a fucking noob, so I'm sure it's possible. But yeah, it just was like it was funny to me because I'm like I took it totally differently. I'm like, yeah, I'm just abusing cover here because there's these giant fucking stacks of these giant like buildings that are literal cover against the helicopter. And yeah, I was just using them, luring it in and trying to get close and do as much damage as I could. And I was kind of bobbing and weaving out of it and like shooting missile volleys and shooting my gun as well at it where I could to whittle it down a little bit. But I think it's a good first encounter though. Because I understand where people are coming from, but I also think FromSoft has always been this way. I think they've always tried to filter people. I don't think they give a shit. I don't think they've ever given a shit if you can beat their game or not. If you can get through that first level, they don't give a fuck. If you can't finish it, okay, go return the game. They don't care. Like, don't play it. They don't give a fuck, dude. Like, they did it in Dark Souls 3. I remember the first boss in that game was not an easy boss. Like, I don't remember it being an easy boss. And they're doing it here too. And Sekiro, like you said, was the same way. So I appreciate their style. They don't give a shit what people think. They don't care about difficulty settings. They don't care about any of that fucking noise. They make the games they want to make. And I appreciate them for that. Yeah, and I really don't want them to change personally.
Yeah, I think it's a good artistic choice. What's interesting is like Miyazaki, they base it off of Miyazaki can beat the bosses and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
The game director, the one who was the lead director for Sekiro, He said that he was like, "Yeah, we design our bosses if Miyazaki can beat him." He's like, "He's not." He said it straight out. He was like, "Yeah, he's not good at action games. So if Miyazaki can beat him, then you guys can beat him." And
That's
so,
amazing. That's amazing, dude. That's awesome.
so I think that's a really good design choice for their games, and I kind of I respect them for it. Like a lot of people, I give them a lot of shit. I give them a lot of shit because I just don't like how saturated the market has become with their style of games.
Yeah.
But like
That's not their fault though.
that's not their fault though. Exactly.
Yeah, like they've made the best ones, and yeah, fucking everybody's gonna copy them, you know.
Yeah. So I just respect it. I respect it a lot. And I didn't think. I mean, y'all saw my rating. Y'all saw my rating. I gave Armored Core. I didn't give it a 7. I said they were going to get a 7, and for them to get like what, a 90 or
Almost a 90, yeah.
yeah, a 8.5 or something like that, crazy. For me, it's unheard of. And for
86,
other,
86
yeah,
and 87, yeah.
yeah, 86, 87. It's unfucking heard of. Because you look at the other Armored Core games, they're 60s, maybe like 170 there somewhere. But yeah, mech games usually don't review too well. And for this game to review well, I mean, I'm sure it's the From Software bump as well. But uh yeah, I don't know. It's just insane to me.
Yeah, man, I love it. Yeah, I'm glad I got into it. It's probably good that I got into it here because I mean this is probably the most polished game in the series.
Yeah, this is a good game for people to get into. If you want to go back and play the older games, you can. But I feel like this is the best in the series, in my opinion. And I know there are a lot of fucking Armored Core heads out there who are like, no, actually, For Answer is the best. And it's like, it's good, but let's be realistic. This is the best one, like in my bar none. Like, I'm not just saying that, this is the best one. So,
well, question for you, I guess. So the big boss enemies, is that a new thing or is that something that's always been in the series too?
it's kind of always been a thing in the series, but
Okay.
it's kind of new the way they designed them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they're
Stagger
more
system.
like
The stagger system has not been in the game.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay.
Each boss like they've been either super big or you're fighting like an actual mech, like another AC who's like really fucking good, like a really good AI AC or whatever.
Yeah.
But like these actual boss fights, these like Dark Soul-ish like boss fights are relatively new. Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. I'm sure we'll have more to say next week. I'm planning on playing a lot more this weekend.
Yeah, me too.
For sure. So I'm excited to jump back in. All right. Let's get into the news, Montreal. We got a ton of fucking news to get through this week, so let's get moving here. So we got some sad news, couple sad stories here. So earlier this week, it was announced that BioWare has had some layoffs. They cut back. They laid off about 50 employees, which is around 20% of their total workforce. And a lot of that was senior writing staff from the studio that worked on Dragon Age, Mass Effect. So which is, I would say, kind of surprising to say the least. I mean, Montreal, how did this news strike you when you saw this?
I was man, I think it's time to put the nail. I was actually like genuinely sad. I was upset. I was like retweeting all the people that got laid off. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, Mass Effect, was kind of bad. Mass Effect Andromeda was bad, or as far as writing goes, it was bad. I still think Dragon Age was pretty good. Inquisition was pretty good. Yeah, they fucked up on Anthem. Understandable. But man, to see people lose their jobs is just never fun. I didn't like it, and for them to take their top people out of BioWare is really like, it almost gave me like Blizzard vibes, like what Blizzard did when they got rid of their top people, but under different circumstances, because a lot of people in Blizzard top people are kind of perverts. But like, this is kind of different where like these were good, genuinely good people from what we know. And yeah, they got EA got rid of them, and I don't know how the games are going to survive. I don't know how BioWare is going to survive without them. I mean, they may do better, and who's to know? Like maybe that was the dead weight to cut off. Maybe it was just like an old, old skin to cut off and stuff like that, and they needed something new. But I don't know, man. Like they made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, man. And like to see
Yeah, one of the
Baldur's
writers, was actually worked on those games
yeah, and
that
to
they
see
let go.
Baldur's Gate 3 come out and just do really good, and then for this to happen to them, I don't know. I just felt really bad because it's almost like you made something and then someone else came and picked up what you made because you were doing. I don't even know, man. Like you're just washed up, and
You
it's
let
just
it
like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
you let it go, and I just
And
felt really
they
bad
did
for them,
it. They
man.
did it as well as you did way back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt really bad for them, man. Like I felt really fucking bad.
Yeah, and this is a quote from BioWare. So, quote, in order to meet the needs of our upcoming projects, continue to hold ourselves to the highest standard of quality, and ensure BioWare can continue to thrive in an industry that's rapidly evolving, we must shift towards a more agile and more focused studio. It will allow our developers to iterate quickly, unlock more creativity, and form a clear vision of what we're building before development ramps up. To achieve this, we find ourselves in a position where change is not only necessary but unavoidable. As difficult as this is to say, rethinking our approach to development inevitably means reorganizing our team to match the studio's changing needs. End quote. And that is from the general manager of the studio, Gary McKay. So I mean, to me, I don't know how to take this. Like, is BioWare in trouble? Like, in theory, yeah, probably. This is I think a lot is riding on this next Dragon Age game, to be honest, for them. I think if that comes out and it's not well received, like this studio legitimately could be in trouble. But at the same time, letting go of somebody who's been with your studio for like what 25 years probably is as part of a layoff is, man, that's fucked up. Like, I don't know, man. I work with some people at my job who've been there that long or longer, and the idea of them being let go would be horrific, dude. Like the level of morale loss would be huge. So I don't know if that's what's going on at BioWare right now, but it's I can kind of get where the company comes from, that maybe these people are set in their ways in some way and they want to change the way they do things, as a studio. But isn't it kind of little too late for that at this point?
Let's be honest too. The writers they let go, Anthem for instance, right? Me and you both said like the content wasn't there, but you remember the lore that they set up?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything around the lore and the writing was just like, we're like, yo, this world is pretty fucking good. Like, I would explore more of this world. And like Dragon Age, or not Dragon Age, but Dragon Age writing was actually really fucking good too. Inquisition, in my opinion. The only game that kind of suffered was Mass Effect, and I don't know who did that game, and I don't know what direction they were trying to take that game.
Well, that was a totally different studio. Like, that was a studio they shut down. It was BioWare Montreal, I believe.
So they
shut down.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know, to let your top writers go, man. Like, they weren't the problem. And it wasn't their problem that Anthem like died, man. It was other things, man. Like,
yeah, and if there's anything we can say about BioWare, it's that they've always wrote banger lore and banger stories for the most part. Yeah. And that definitely doesn't. I mean, there's 50 people laid off here, so who knows? They could have let these two writers go, and that's it. And then the rest of them is something else, is other positions at the studio. But I don't know. It's just the idea that they're laying people off at all is kind of bad news. I mean, this game isn't even out yet. We don't even know a release date. We don't even know it's coming out next year. Like, I just don't understand. Like, at this point, I feel like this next Dragon Age game is in development hell. Like, that's kind of what it feels like right now, even though that might not be true and they may be close to release. I mean, when was this game announced, Montreal? Like, it was literally,
we were still in the closet, so
it was within that first year of the podcast, right?
Yeah,
somewhere in 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, it had to.
Was it the end of 2019? It was in the VGAs, right?
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah.
So that means, dude,
we actually heard about it early 2019. You remember, we heard the rumors about it.
Yes.
When the BioWare Magic thing came out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Schreier mentioned it, I think, in his article talking about Anthem.
Yep.
Everything that happened in Anthem. So yeah, we've known about this game for a while, and they announced it what will be 4 years ago, this coming December. So I mean, man, and we haven't seen gameplay ever.
Exactly.
And they announced it 4 years ago. and we have yet to see the game. I think that is such a red flag, like a massive red flag.
Now you're laying off people.
Yeah, and then now you're laying people off. It's not a good situation. So,
I mean, maybe I know there is some new talent out there that can probably write their asses off. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But yeah, man. I don't know. It's just so surreal seeing Baldur's Gate 3 just pop off, bro. And then the next week, yeah, we're laying off BioWare. And you're like, wait, you guys made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
I know. Isn't that so bad, dude?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, did they not realize the timing of that? That's fucking nuts, man. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But we'll keep monitoring, and we'll when Dragon Age comes out. I don't know if either of us are going to play it. You're probably more likely than me.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly have thoughts on it if we do play it. So let's move on to our next story. Another sad one. This one actually is kind of crazy as well. Embracer Group has closed Volition, and this was effective immediately as of the announcement, which happened yesterday. This is the studio that has made all the Saints Row games, and they've been around for 30 years, and they just shut the studio down.
Yeah, that was I'm gonna be honest about this studio. It's gonna sound really like crazy. I don't wish anybody to get fired or shut down, but in my opinion, their games have always been meh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only game breaking video thing they really like made was like Red Faction. I think they made Red Faction, right? So let me check their thing. I believe they made Red Faction.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so I feel bad for them, but like in the same time, it's like they didn't really make any wow of the games, and I think they put too much emphasis on Saints Row, and
eventually declined.
Yeah, and I actually I feel bad for them because a lot of people wanted the whole gangster thing, and they was trying to move away from the gangster thing with Saints Row, and I understand too. Like that stuff can get kind of corny, as well. Like that was a whole era, and now we're past that era, and yeah, I don't know, man. It's really sad. I didn't want them to go down like this. I wanted them to make another game or make something to kind of come back from it, but they can't, man.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing to come out of this though is the nature of Embracer right now. Is they're huge, right? We've talked about this for years, basically since this podcast started. They were gobbling up studios, gobbling up IP, and they've gotten so large that they have like 120 developers or some crazy shit like that, which is fucking insane. That is over 4 times as much as Microsoft has under their umbrella. Like, think about that for a second. That is nearly 10 times what Sony has, probably 8 to 9 times as much as what Sony has in their first party. Like, just think again, sit down and think about that for a second. Embracer Group, third party publisher. So this has felt kind of inevitable that we're going to start seeing studio closures. And I'm going to be honest with you, I expect a lot more out of Embracer, like a lot more closures coming out of their group, because they're not making a lot of money right now. Like, dude, they're not even like, as far as I understand it, they're not even making $1 billion a year, and that is not enough to subsidize 120 development studios. Multiple publishers underneath their umbrella. Like, this company is hemorrhaging money. And remember, a few months ago, we talked about that deal that fell through. They had a $2 billion cash infusion deal lined up with somebody that fell through at the last minute. Remember that? Yep. Well, I think this is a direct result of that falling through. So, yeah, I think Embracer's not in a good place right now.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like I said, they made some really good series. Obviously, everybody knows Saints Row, but I just remember playing Red Faction, and destruction that you can do in that game was like mind blowing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Descent, the Descent was another one.
Yeah, and the Descent as well. I didn't play the Summoner series, but I heard some good things about that.
Wait, they made Summoner?
Yeah.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh, that's a bummer, dude. Man, a lot of people hate Summoner. It's like one of those early PS2 games that wasn't that great. But I actually like Summoner, man. I thought it was. I didn't think it was a bad game. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, I'm just reading the thing on it. A lot of people did like Summoner, but then
Mm-hmm.
they didn't like Summoner 2. I don't know. I didn't play Summoner, unfortunately. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I always feel bad when like a game studio closed. Like one of my favorite double A studios was a Pandemic, and they made the Star Wars Battlefront games, and they closed. Like EA closed them or whatever.
Yeah.
When they got acquired. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that this is the downside of acquisitions. You know, like they can just
Yeah.
close a studio on a whim, and then all these people are out of jobs and stuff like that. And these are some pretty
Yeah.
talented people. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to have issues getting jobs, but it still sucks.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, we'll keep watching Embracer Group. Like I said, I do expect more closures at some point in the future. So, moving on. This was kind of a shocker, not a surprise given how old this guy is, but Charles Martinet is stepping down as Mario.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. I mean, it's not a shocker. I mean, he's pretty old.
He's 67.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty sure they got all of his voice clips on like a hard drive somewhere, and they could just reuse that. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna suck. But I'm pretty sure they can get somebody who sounds just as good as him, to replace him. And I'm glad he's stepping down gracefully, instead of like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, Montreal, do we want to audition real quick for the voice of Mario going forward?
You should. I can't.
Okay, I got you. Whoop! Wahoo! It's a me, a Mario. All right, there you go, Nintendo. I'll be your voice of Mario going forward. Start writing those checks, baby. Let's go.
Hey, he's a true Italian.
Damn right. Oh shit. All right. Let's move on. Happy trails, Charles Martinet. You've been an excellent icon in the game industry. And your voice will be missed for Mario, but we've got 30 plus years of games with you in them. So you will be remembered, certainly. All right. Moving on to our next story. This is interesting. This kind of came out of nowhere. PlayStation Plus, Sony's subscription service, as well as their online multiplayer service, is getting a price increase. And this is going into effect on, let's see, I think it's September 4th. No, November 6th. So actually, it's going into effect September 6th. However, if you don't make a change, your pricing will stay the same until November 6th. So if your subscription runs out between now and November 6th, you will still have the old price if you do the automatic renewal. But if you make any changes after September 6th, you will have to pay the new updated price. So here's the pricing. So PlayStation Plus Essential, the 12-month subscription, is going up to $79.99 a year, up from $59.99 a year. The PlayStation Plus Extra 12-month subscription, so this is the first tier where you get the catalog of games that you can download onto your PlayStation, is going up to $134.99. So basically $135, and I believe this was $110 before.
Yeah,
or was this $100?
I believe it was $110.
Okay,
the extra,
yeah, and then PlayStation Plus Premium 12-month subscription. So this is the one that gets you the retro games, and then PS3 games that you are able to stream. Is going up to $160 a year, and I believe this one was like $130 before. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, that one I don't know. I didn't buy that one.
Okay. So this is a pretty big price increase. And again, like I said, it's kind of coming out of nowhere. There was no rumors about this or anything. It just kind of dropped this week. And this is not like, we're not even 6 months into this subscription service being alive, like being a thing, really. I think it came out in March.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty abrupt. I mean, what do you think about this as somebody who uses the service actually and pays for it?
It's hard, man. I like extra. I really do like extra. Premium, I had premium for a while, now downgraded back to extra. I don't really needed because I don't really play the retro games like that. I think extra is really cool. It's really cool from when you're down in between games, and then there are just games you can just go on PlayStation and then play it. Uh,
Hmm.
and I had a choice to get PlayStation Extra or Game Pass. I'm not going to have both of them, so I chose PlayStation Extra because I'm majority of my time is on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I feel like if you have Game Pass, like I understand why. I understand now why people have it. Um, because it's really cool to just jump in, especially like older games. Like I was playing Phoenix Immortal Rising or Phoenix Rising Immortal Phoenix Rising, whatever.
Immortals Phoenix Rising. Yeah.
Yeah, Immortal Phoenix Rising. And that game's actually pretty decent. But
Hmm.
it's like I wouldn't have paid for the game, but like since I had it on extra, like
Hmm.
I can
Yeah.
play it and I can like, oh, okay, this game's actually really fucking cool. Like it's a really cool game. And I can experience those games and I can jump in and out. I don't have to really commit to it. You know what I'm saying? Um, and yeah, that's the advantage of PlayStation Extra. You don't have to. I think PlayStation Extra and PlayStation Game Pass or in Game Pass, in my opinion. I know I was shitting on them at first, but like just experiencing them, I feel like it's really good for the common folk. And when I say common folk, I'm talking about people who just dibble and dab in video games.
Hmm.
It's really good for them to experience these games. They're like, oh, okay. Well, I played that game on because I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, man, I played it on extra or I played it on Game Pass, and I think I'm gonna when the next one comes out, I'm gonna buy it like first day it comes out, or I'm actually looking for other games
Hmm.
that are like this. Do you have any recommendations? And they go out and buy those games. So like I understand like a lot of people having an issue with it. It's like a give or take type deal. But for me, I'm looking at the positive, and it's actually introducing a lot of people into the gaming sphere a lot more to experience other games they otherwise would not have bought.
I was actually wrong, by the way. This came out last year in June 2022, so it's been out for a year, over a year. But it's still pretty soon after release for it to get a price increase. It took years for Game Pass to actually get a price increase. So, I think the thing for this for me is that exact thing, that it's getting closer to Game Pass in terms of cost, and I don't feel like they can really realistically justify that next to Game Pass. For
Yeah,
what Game Pass actually offers. So they got to be careful with that a little bit. And I think them raising the price of the essential plan, which is the one that you need for multiplayer, man, that's a blow. That has been $60 since its inception, you know? Um, and yeah, I understand inflation, blah, blah, blah. But man, it just sucks. Price increases are never fun for these kind of things. So
my hot take on inflation, especially for digital goods, is non-existent. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just not existent to me. Like they're digital goods.
mhm.
I can't justify the inflation for those. But yeah, I agree with you
I mean,
100%.
there is a degree of it though. They still got to pay their people, right? Which I mean, they got to pay their people more due to
Yeah,
inflation.
yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, you got me. Whatever. I
Hmm.
still don't think so, but whatever.
Defeated,
Yeah,
defeated
defeated.
Montreal. One sentence owned. Man, get him out of here. All right. Let's move on, Montreal, to our next story. So, okay, this fucking threw us off before the show. MPD numbers. They're not called MPD anymore. The company is now called Circana. And can I just tell you that after like 15 or 20 years of it being MPD, this is fucking weird. I don't know. I'm just going to call them MPD numbers, probably, but it's Circana. Circana numbers for July 2023. Here we go. Total video game sales, 4.187 billion this year versus 4.163 billion last year. That's a 1% increase. Total video game content sales, so that's digital physical game sales, microtransactions, subscriptions, etc. 3.722 billion this year versus 3.641 billion last year. That is a 2% increase. Video game hardware sales, 292 million this year versus 362 million last year. That is a minus 19% decrease in sales. And then video game accessories, 173 million this year versus 160 million last year. That is an 8% increase year over year. Hardware sales down pretty big, which is interesting. I'm not really sure what the cause of that is necessarily, but otherwise mostly flat in terms of the game industry sales. All right, moving on. Top 20 games. best-selling games in the US. Number one, I been hearing about this game a lot. The fact that it is number one on this list is fucking crazy. Remnant 2 from Gearbox. Number 2, Diablo 4. Number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 4, Hogwarts Legacy. Number 5, Final Fantasy 16. Number 6, Pikmin 4. Number 7, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 8, Street Fighter 6. Number 9, Elden Ring. Number 10, MLB The Show 23. Number 11, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Number 12, Mario Kart 8. Number 13, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Wait, what? When did Black Ops 2 come out? Is that the most recent one? No.
This is old. What the fuck?
Black Ops 2 is like super old, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that doing here? Number 14, Minecraft for 2 months in a row. Number 15, FIFA 23.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 16, Exoprimal somehow. Number 17, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 18, Marvel Spider-Man. Number 19, Dead Island 2. And number 20, Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
The fuck? Oh, yeah. Okay. So I can explain the Black Ops shit.
Okay. Go for it. I'm flabbergasted.
So there was this thing recently that happened within the Call of Duty community. They had an offline mod. Somebody modded Call of Duty to play offline, and you can play against bots. Pretty much that can simulate playing online. So it was almost like you were playing online back in the day in like 2008, 2009, 2010, or whatever. So a lot of older people were playing that knew how to do that. Were playing it like that. The problem was the people that released the mod, they were releasing game files of Call of Duty. So long story short, Activision found it, deleted them, sent them to cease and desist. And as a token, I guess, Activision actually went back and updated all the servers for all the older Black Ops games or all the older Call of Duty games. So now those servers are active and they're being monitored because they're littered with hackers and people were getting either booted or banned. And the servers are playable now.
Huh.
So that's why Black Ops 2 is coming back on the list because a lot of people were playing that, and a lot of popular YouTubers and streamers were playing it. So a lot of kids are going back and buying this game for like $10.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Good on Activision for that one. I would think they would just shut it down and say, fuck this game. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Well, remember, it's owned by Microsoft, so maybe I think Phil is having some pull that shit.
Phil's like, I want to play some Black Ops 2, Bobby. Make those servers work. Get the hackers out of there, man. Yeah, probably. So interesting note about Remnant 2, though. It is the best-selling game of the month. However, if you go look at the top 20 best-selling games of the year, so far it is number 18. So it's not like it's selling that crazy. The Last of Us Part 1 has sold more copies than Remnant 2. So just keep that in perspective. As much as it's the top of the list this month, sales this month are, lower, probably lower than normal for sure. So
yeah, I heard that game's like Dark Souls, but third-person shooter-ish.
Yeah,
with Destiny vibes. So.
Yeah, I remember that one from some showcase or digital event or something. But interesting that Elden Ring is like continuing to be on the list though. This game is fucking crazy, dude. Number 9. Like this is like a Nintendo game at this point, or Minecraft. It's like hit that level. It's like Minecraft or GTA 5.
Yeah.
That's nuts. We're gonna be talking about Elden Ring on this fucking list for the next like 5 years. Yeah.
Jesus,
man, that's wild. All right. Well, anything else there you want to talk about? Anything jumping out to you?
I'm actually surprised Pikmin is so low. Actually, I thought it would
Same
a little bit more.
And Zelda too. Sales cooling down on that one a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's still up there though. Like I'm pretty sure it's still going to be a top selling game for the next couple years. To be honest.
Yeah, I know, but it's number 2 on the overall list for the year, behind Hogwarts Legacy still. So
yeah, that one's interesting. Yeah. I can't believe Hogwarts Legacy is selling like this because I played that game and I'm like, it's a good game, but yeah, exactly, it's not.
It's not like Elden Ring good or it's not Zelda good. Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real surprise to me. That IP is really That Harry
or
Potter is
it's
still a
a
powerful IP, man.
or it's a pendulum response to all the hate the game was
Oh,
getting
yeah, you're,
pre-launch.
you're
I think
right.
that's
You're right.
more likely, probably. Yeah, we have some friends who bought that game, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? Wait, like, what? You're not a Harry Potter fan? Like, what? so,
That
yeah.
game has. Never mind. No, I'm not even gonna get to it.
Okay.
It has trans characters in it, so I
Yes,
don't
it
I don't
does. It
I don't
does
get it.
actually, a prominent one that's part of the main story
Yep.
in the game. All right, moving on. From the Circana numbers for the month of July. All right. Next story. PlayStation Portal. We talked about this, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, was officially announced. We got a release date for it. It is coming on November 15th, and pre-orders are live. $199.99 in the US if you want it, and it is coming on November 15th. So yeah, Montreal, you gonna pick one of these up?
I've been thinking about it. I've actually been thinking about it. I don't
Dude,
know
I'm
yet,
telling you,
man.
this thing I think is going to be. I'm actually genuinely getting kind of excited about it. It is going to change the way I game. No, I am serious, because there's a lot of nights that I spend where I like mindlessly turn into a troll and I just like watch YouTube videos for no reason,
Mhm.
and I can do that with this thing in my hand playing a game. You know, like
Yeah.
I think it will make me play more games. To be honest.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. But it depends on. I'm gonna wait for the reviews to come out
Mm-hmm.
and see how it performs. And if
The
it performs,
latency. Yeah.
yeah, if it performs really well, then I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, same. I'm not going to buy it on day one, probably, but we'll see. I'm maybe not. Maybe I will. I don't know. It depends on how popular it is. I don't want it to be sold out when it comes out, and I can't get one for like 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that popular though. I really think this thing is a really specific market that I don't think will sell out that quickly. So, yeah, so it's coming on November 15th. You will be able to pre-order it from retailers other than Sony. So Sony themselves are doing pre-orders right now. On September 29th, other retailers will open up, like the Amazons, Targets, Walmarts, thing like that. I assume will be happening on September 29th, which is kind of interesting. I was thinking about this on the way home when I was thinking about the stories for tonight, that Sony's gotten they're starting to push their internal shipping service a lot more and putting it front and center for their hardware a
Yeah.
lot. And I think I'm starting to think that they're preparing for the future where they don't have a disk drive in their console, and that the retailers are going to refuse to sell their hardware because there's no games to sell. You know,
Probably.
like,
That could be a thing.
like I think that's where they're heading. Honestly, that's what it feels like. Like I think we realistically could be looking at a PS6 with no disk drive at launch. Period. It's just a full digital console.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, even in I don't know if you noticed, but in the department stores, the electronic section for the video games is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, man. It's kind of sad, actually. It bums me out, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember
'Cause-
trying to, as a kid, trying to get to that section all the time and just staying over there for about an hour.
Oh my god,
mom's
yeah,
shop.
yep, same, man. Playing whatever dumb demo game they have set up,
Exactly. Yeah.
on there, like Eye of Judgment or whatever the fuck it was, or something on like PS3, or the Gran Turismo 4 demo for like 85 years before that game came out.
My first experience with Star Fox was actually the
Oh yeah,
364 Chaos they had with the Rumble Pack. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is really cool.
nah, bro, it was Glover. You remember Glover? That was the N64 demo game everywhere.
Mine was Star Fox, and
It was Star. Man, you were lucky, dude. It was Glover where I lived. Everywhere I lived, Boston, fucking Massachusetts, man. It was Glover everywhere. Target, Toys R Us, fucking Walmart, wherever the fuck you went, it was Glover. Fucking Glover.
I remember playing it, and I was like, that was my first experience with like a Rumble Pack, and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh. And even my mom came over and was like, oh, that's it. That's all it does. I thought I was gonna shake
Yeah.
the whole controller like really bad. So
Yeah, it was that or Yoshi's Story, which Yoshi's Story was short enough that you could probably beat it in the store,
yeah.
in a couple hours. That game was so short. I remember renting that game and I beat it in like a one sitting in a night, and I was like, wait, that's it? That's the game?
I remember
And
the
I was like-
advertising for that game was like pretty hardcore. Like they
Yeah.
was like, yo, this is a fucking Yoshi story. It's so fucking cool.
I mean, it's
Now,
a good game, actually.
no,
Genuinely, like
it
I
is a
do
really
think it's
good
a good
game.
game, but it's literally 4 hours long.
No, it is a really good game. The problem was for me, the ad for Yoshi Story was like hardcore teenage boy. You want to buy this with rock music, right? I don't know if you remember that ad for that game. And I bought it.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it in front of my mom. And this is like before like all the PC stuff, right? So y'all gotta excuse my language. I'm not gonna say the F word. But so I remember playing it in front of my mom. And you remember the fucking song that comes up? It was like,
Oh yeah.
she was like, what is this gay ass shit?
Yeah. What is this? What is my son gay? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, I'm gonna play this in the back, you know. And I played it in the back. I loved the game, but I just remember that shit. That shit was so funny,
and that's like the level. That's the music in every level. That game had like 5 levels, and the music. There was one music track for the whole game.
Yeah,
that was Yoshi's Story, man.
Yoshi Island music was fucking goat, yo.
Yeah.
So, I don't know,
man. All right,
that's cool.
Moving on. PlayStation Portal. Look forward to that. I encourage you all to get it. It will make your gaming life better. Next up, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I had expressed concern about this game's monetization structure, and we may have gotten a hint that maybe my concerns were unfounded. So they announced the different editions of the game and the pricing for all of them that is coming when the game releases on February 2nd next year. So there's going to be the standard edition of the game, which is going to be $60, which is, it's just going to give you the game. There's a Relink, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Deluxe Edition that is going to come with the game, an art book with over 100 pages, a soundtrack CD with 12 tracks, a set of 5 postcards, whatever they need to put in to justify that $40, and then in-game DLC, including starter item pack, character color packs 1 through 3, and Fall Sword of the Apocalypse Sword. Then they have a Relink, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Special Edition, which will only have the DLC items in it. I believe you won't get the art book or the soundtrack with this special edition. And then they have a collector's edition, which is $180, which is going to come with the box, the collector's edition box, base game, starter item pack, Fall Sword of the Apocalypse weapon, color packs, art book, soundtrack CD, postcard set, Proto Bahamut statue figure, which is probably the reason you're going to get this, and then Sword of Eos metal charm. I will say I did see somewhere about this. So this is going to be a full price game. There was something I was reading about this. I'm trying to remember what it was, though, that they mentioned some kind of currency that you get with one of the editions of this. And it's not listed here, but they mentioned like crystals of some sort. And there were multiple different versions of these crystals. And I don't know. My alarm bells are ringing with this one. I am concerned that this is a full price game that is going to have microtransaction bullshit in it.
Hey man, all I can say is they know their audience.
No. This is a new level, okay, Montreal? Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, and most of these other gachas like Tower of Fantasy, they are free to play games.
They know their audience. Man.
They're free to play games. If there's gacha bullshit in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, they have been selling everybody a false fucking narrative this whole time.
Justin, I understand that, but people are going to buy these. These are Grand Blue Fantasy fans are anime fans at heart, and they're going to buy what this game gives them, bro. Like if King Arthur comes on screen, bro, she got some big ass fucking boobs and shit, and she's got cost like 500 red crystals, and that's like $5, bro. We buying it.
No, you have to spend 500 crystals for 10 pulls, and then you might get her at a 0.3% rate.
There you go.
That's how it actually works with these games. And then if you roll 150 times, you're guaranteed to get a 5-star, which might be her, but might not be her.
Yeah, and that's the only character I know because I looked up, like, it was a joke, but somebody's like, no, this is
Mhm.
King Arthur, but this is King Arthur in this version of King Arthur, but there's actually another
Yeah.
version of King Arthur that this is I'm like, bro,
Oh
what?
my god. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I will keep an eye on this, guys. If this game has gotcha elements or microtransaction elements beyond like cosmetics of some sort, then this game is a going to be a firm, probably firm stay away. If you're, I don't know. As much as I want to play this game, like, man, that is going to really turn me off, especially if it's gotcha of some sort. Like, dude, if there's any element like that in this game, like, that is a fucking hard bullshit. No, thank you. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm just saying I saw it out there somewhere. I can't find it right now, but I did see it. So, all right, let's move on to our next story. Front Mission 2 remake. If we're talking about mecha games, well, let's talk about the tactical mecha games. Classics. Front Mission 2 remake is coming to Nintendo Switch on October 5th this year. So that is not too far out. It's about a month from now. Front Mission 1 came out last year in November, I believe. And then it is just recently released on PlayStation. So I do expect we'll get Front Mission 2 on PlayStation at some point in the future as well, if you want to wait for that. But you can also just play it on Switch. This would be a great game for Switch. Tactical games are excellent handheld games for sure. But yeah, Front Mission 2, Montreal. Any interest? I know you're in an Armored Core mood, but did you ever actually get around to playing Front Mission 1?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. I have the game too, but I haven't gotten around to playing it. My Switch has actually been occupied by Deanna. She's still playing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Understood. That makes sense. Well, that's why she bought you Starfield. She needs to distract you from the Switch so she can keep playing Zelda. I like that. That's great. I hope that's true. Yeah, but Front Mission 2, I've never played it myself, but the Front Mission franchise are great games. 3 and 4 I played, which are excellent tactical strategy RPGs. And I definitely want to play these myself. I'm kind of debating. I'm not sure if I want to get the first one on Switch or just wait for this the PlayStation Portal to come out and get it on PlayStation and then just play it on handheld with the Portal. I'm kind of thinking I might do that with Front Mission 1, so then I'd probably wait on Front Mission 2 until it came to PlayStation. But yeah. All right, let's move on. Montreal, next story. This one is for me. I was talking about Grim Dawn earlier. Well, this game is back from the fucking dead, boys. Crate Entertainment came out this week, a few days ago, and they announced a new fucking expansion is coming for Grim Dawn, and it is fucking crazy. Like, it has been 4 years since the last expansion came out, and there was no thought that we were ever getting anything more for this fucking game, but we are. It's called Fangs of Astrakarn. It's going to be a snow-themed expansion. There will be one new mastery in the game called the Berserker, which is going to be a shapeshifter of some sort that you will then be able to combine with the other 9 masteries in the game, however you like, to make whatever character you want. And goddamn, I needed something to bring me back to Grim Dawn, and fucking goddamn it, this is it. They announced so much shit here that's getting me excited about this game that will like fix the problems that I've had with it potentially. So we're getting a 10th mastery, which is crazy because you can combine 2 masteries together to make your character, right?
Yeah.
So there are now 45 class combinations in this game that you can make with your different characters. There's going to be a new area, totally new area. They're adding potion customization, which is something new for them. That'll be interesting. Affix transmutation. This is a big one. Whatever this means, what I think it means is that you will either be able to reroll affixes on items or potentially move affixes from one item to another. Either way, this is a fucking massive W for this game, because this is the biggest issue this game has, is it has these theoretical items in it that are like at the top of the power food chain, and they literally are impossible to get legitimately. And this may allow us to actually get them in some way, in a legitimate way in the game. And if that's possible, I'm fucking back in Grim Dawn. Back on the menu, boys. See you later, Diablo. Bye-bye. You guys can fucking play that shitty game with Blizzard, I'm gonna go play a real man's ARPG, and that's Grim Dawn. Shadow Realm's gonna get bigger. We're getting hundreds of new items, awakening epic items, which I'm assuming is some kind of way to craft empowered versions of blue items, which are weaker items in the power scaling in the game, for sure, which that's exciting. And then they said 2 new factions as well. They're also going to expand the Crucible, which is an arena mode, wave-based DLC that they have in the game as well. So it sounds like there's a lot of content coming in this game, in this expansion. It's supposedly coming next year, and I'm fucking excited. Montreal, do you think you'll check it out with me? Me and Jet are already talking about playing this.
Really? Y'all already talked about it?
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. I showed it to him, and he was like, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I might play it. I might get into it.
I just need to convince you or Brad. It really doesn't matter. I mean, if both of you want to play, that would be great too. But yeah, the fucking I love this game. I'm so excited. I will say part of me was like slightly disappointed that it's not like Grim Dawn 2, you know, but knowing Crate, they're probably working on that in the background or whatever their next game is outside of this expansion.
That city simulator.
Oh, that's already out. That's been out for a year, dude. Okay. Farthest Frontier, yeah, that came out last August. I never actually checked it out. So yeah, that's a thing too, for sure. But yeah, so I think they're working on another game as well, probably knowing them. But yeah, it'll be 5 years since the last expansion by the time this comes out. So it's a long time. Surprise, but it's good. I don't think the game was in a perfected state yet, you know, and I think they know that. I think they knew that. And I think they want to kind of rectify that. So,
well, not only that, but like I think this is a great time because Diablo 4 kind of revitalized the main peak interest for main people to get back into ARPG.
But they lost it. They lost the interest.
They lost it, and now people are looking for it. And especially like if Asmongold comes and plays this shit, like this game's gonna fucking blow up.
He doesn't, dude. I'll be honest. This is the only chance that they have of him playing it is by releasing another expansion. Otherwise, he doesn't acknowledge this game exists at all.
Why? So, does he know of its existence?
I am positive. I am fucking positive he does. It's just that it's not an important game. Like nobody cares about Grim Dawn, right? Like it's not going to get him viewers, so he doesn't want to acknowledge it or play it. Even though he sits there and complains about ARPGs all day, and he's like, "Oh, fucking, there's nothing out here except for PoE," and I'm like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like Grim Dawn's sitting right there, man. It's just as complicated as PoE. Like
that's so weird because don't these people understand they can make a game really popular?
Yeah,
like especially someone like him, he can make it game really popular.
Anything he plays is going to get a fucking huge bump. But I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know about it, and I'm just making assumptions. But he's pretty knowledgeable about this specific genre, and I would be really surprised if he's never heard of Grim Dawn. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But frankly, I kind of hope he plays it. I don't know. It could go both ways. If he hates the game, it could be bad for the game. But, you know, honestly, it'd probably still be good for the game, even if he hated it. But I don't know. I just want Crate to get their due, man. Like this is such a good development studio. I'm gonna fully admit this. I'm a fucking fanboy for these guys, but I just love the way they do business. I love the way they treat their fans, their customers. Like they just do it fucking right. You know, they're kind of like a little mini FromSoft in my opinion. They do things the way they want to do it, but they do right by their fans at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. All right. I'll probably talk more about that as we get closer to it for sure. But nobody listening to this podcast cares about that game. So we'll move on. All right, moving on. We're done with news. We did get a question from Dat Dude this week. It was kind of a follow-up to a discussion we had a few weeks ago. So he wanted to know, what is the best advice you think you can give those lonely gamers out there? Also, if y'all have ever felt this way, how did y'all overcome it? I mean, I think we talked about this a while ago, right? But my answer is like, man, I'd say like touch grass, man, go outside, you know, go interact with people, you know, like I know that can be hard for people sometimes when you're really feeling lonely and depressed, but the only way you're going to come out of it is by doing those things. You know, if you continue to sit inside and you just live in your video games and you live on the forums and you're like terminally online, you're just going to make those things worse. You gotta push through it and go actually interact with people, you know? And I will say the best way to do this is probably at a job.
I was
you know?
just about to say that. Yeah, that's, I don't know who I was talking to about that. But yeah, that's the best way to interact with somebody. Oh, I was talking to my friend Aaron about that. Because he used to be a truck driver, and now he's kind of switching careers, and he has a job at like a gun shop or whatever. And he was talking about how he has to relearn how to talk to people because he's been on the road so long by himself and everything like that. And obviously he's really knowledgeable about guns and stuff like that, but he had to relearn how to talk to people. And he was telling me like, yeah, like this job really is teaching me. He's like, I'm really glad I had to learn. I'm learning to talk to people again and everything like that. And it was the same way for me too when I was working overnights and everything before I started working. For me, the transition to the was the hardest fucking thing for me, because I didn't know how to talk to people at first. Like I knew how to talk to y'all, but it was like I was really struggling. Like my dating life and everything was really struggling. So I think Justin said like, going out, touch grass. But the easiest way to touch grass is to like, if you don't want to get a part-time job as like a cashier or something like that, where you're forced to meet people face to face or something like that. And who knows, you'll probably meet someone that way. I think your first way to battle like loneliness is to learn how to communicate to people.
Yeah, because you got to push through it.
Yeah, you got to push through it. You have to. And I don't mean just go out there and like go to the park and start randomly walking up to people and talking to them.
Agree.
Like, like
you got to do it in natural ways, right? It's got to be organic, but you can't rely on other people to pull you out of this. Like you are the one that has to make that change.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, if you do have some kind of term, the online club or something like that, and try to encourage y'all to meet up every once in a while. Like Justin said,
if you're on a Discord or something, where you're on voice with people, I mean, that's an option too, is meeting those people in person, or also realizing that being on Discord with people in voice and hanging out with them, that is being social. Like don't pretend that that's not being social. It is. Like I hang out with like me and Montreal, that's mostly the way we hang out is through Discord. Like I don't see him in person that often, we certainly do, but it's like, I'd say 80% of the time is probably on Discord that we hang out.
And we have like one friend that I've never seen before. I've never seen Brad before.
Right. Yeah, we've never met him. Right. Yeah.
So I think besides Discord though, I think like Justin said, I that's actually a really great idea. Just get a fucking part-time job. Like force yourself to do that. That's a natural way to meet people because you have a reason to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to talk to you, you have to talk to them. Not at like a fast food joint. I wouldn't do that. I would do
do it in a collaborative. Try to find something collaborative where you need to actually work with people to do your job.
Yeah.
Retail can be that, but that's hit or miss. Obviously it's going to depend on your skill set, right? If you're not skilled in anything, then you're probably going to have to go retail, or something like that. But it'll at least kind of get you out there, And if video games is your thing, as much as we bag on GameStop, that probably could be a good place for you to go, have conversations with customers about games. People are going to ask you about shit. And that'll kind of get you out there having to talk to people, so.
Yeah, those are my solutions, but that's really all I got, man.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Marshall, let's move on to our final segment for the week. Guess the Metascore. So we made a guess for Starfield a couple weeks ago, and guess who was right? You know what? I'm starting to dominate at this game, Marshall. You better step it up.
Hey, man,
Starfield.
You know what? I gave too much credit. You know what? I didn't have enough faith in the developers. In Bethesda, and I didn't have enough faith in the community, especially with Armored Core. I didn't have enough faith in y'all. I thought y'all were gonna hate that game.
Yeah,
I did. So I proved me wrong. Right. I love being proven wrong. By the way, I love it. Thank you.
It's fair. Well, you know what? It's nice to be proven wrong when you're saying something's going to be worse than it ends up being, right? That's good proven wrong. I don't want to say something's a 9 and then it gets a 6.5. That doesn't feel good. But so Starfield right now sitting Xbox Series X 87 and PC an 88. And I guess an 8.6 a few weeks ago, and Montreal gets an 8. So I was closer for sure. And Montreal, next game, I'm just kind of looking through the list here. Do you want to guess the score for NBA 2K24? I feel like this would be fun.
That one's gonna be hard.
I'm writing it down right now. Let's do it. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first on this one.
Okay. This one is hard. You are totally right, because I know, obviously I've never played an NBA 2K game, so I'm coming at this with no knowledge of the series. I don't know what scores it generally gets. I have no idea. So this is a total guess. But I'm thinking I don't want to go too low here, because from my understanding, is the games are actually fairly quality in terms of the gameplay. Is like, that's my impression, at least, of them. The issue with them has been the monetization that they've been going for lately. Yeah. So that kind of airs me towards the side of somewhere in the middle. It's like a middling score of some sort, because reviewers don't tend to dock games for monetization generally. At least the official reviewers like IGN and places like that. YouTubers certainly will, but I don't feel like the big review sites tend to take that shit into account too much when they're reviewing a game. I think they a lot of the time will focus more on the actual gameplay itself. So I'm gonna go 7.8 for NBA 2K24.
7.8. Okay. I'm going to give it an 8.
8? 8 on the dot?
8 on the dot.
Okay. 8.0.
I think people are still going to love the game despite the monetization model.
Yeah.
New monetization model. So 8.
Okay. Fair enough. Other than that, what else do we have coming up? Spider-Man? It's probably too soon for that one.
Yeah. When does that come on? In October?
October 20th. We got a while.
Yeah, I'll wait till like the first week of October to put our scores in.
Okay. And then, there's like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That's also October 20th. Yeah, we'll have a little break probably after NBA 2K.
Yeah.
For a while. So, but we've actually been keeping up with this one better than we were at first when we first started doing it. So, I like this little game we play. It's fun. But that's it. That's all we got, guys. For this week, Montreal, is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we go today?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right.
I know you got to get out of here. So
yes, I do. If you like the episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share with your friends. We are still trying to grow the show, as always. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTreb for the Hokage for Montreal. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01 at gmail.com. All right, and that'll be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.